ClassHorrorCast. We'll make sure you're not bored to death, but all your friends have disappeared, and you're the last one left. If you want to live, I suggest not doing drugs and having sex. Run through the forest grasping for breath, as you're chased by a maniac wearing a mask of flesh, tripping over dead friends. This isn't over until you get revenge. Final girls try to survive in a violent world. It's eye for an eye. Hide behind doors, lying underneath beds, trying to bide your time and find your strength, and figure out how much time it takes to escape before it's too late, or come face to face with a grim fate. Welcome to ClassHorrorCast. Let's see how long you last as you torture to death. So come join your host Aaron and Tomcat as we bring you a podcast that will leave you laughing in a body bag or a bloodbath. Welcome to ClassHorrorCast. Let's see how long you last.
Hello, everybody. What's up? Welcome back to ClassHorrorCast. I never know what to say there. I don't know, I feel like we should come up with a name for the fans. You know, you hear, I wish I had come up with something, unique like that, but, I've heard shows, refer to them as, boils and ghouls and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't have anything cool. We can't call them, the horny boys and girls. How are you doing, Tom? I'm not sure what we're going for with this, with the glasses and the wine.
I'm being fancy tonight. It is my anniversary. When's our anniversary, Aaron? When is our anniversary of meeting? We should make a celebration of it.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking? I was actually thinking about this the other day. I was trying to think back to the first conversation we even had.
It was over TikTok or something, back when I was allowed to use that app.
Or what was the first ever show we done? It was your show, right?
Yeah, it was Hauntings of Ontario, because Juan bailed on me. So.
Oh, nice. I was just
to find that date, but
a shoe in.
Yeah, it's my anniversary, so I thought it'd be fancy with some fancy wine.
What better date is there then on Tom's anniversary to do another addition to our deep dive, our ongoing deep dive series, and probably one that's gonna be up there for me in my favorites. Yes, we are talking about probably the most famous franchise around this time of year, which is the self-titled Halloween. So yeah, we're gonna break it down into a few different parts, but this part itself will consist of the original, the sequel, and then the very random part 3, Season of the Witch. We'll get to that later. I have a lot to say about that, and I think people are going to be surprised with what I have to say. I suppose to start it off then, for maybe people who don't know or have lived under a rock, or for some reason you're listening to this show and you don't know what Halloween is or what it's about. The basic plot for it is 15 years after murdering his sister on Halloween night in 1963, Michael Myers escapes from a mental hospital and returns to the small town of Haddonfield, Illinois, to kill again. Can you remember the first time that you saw this movie or came across it? Was it something that you saw as an entire movie, or was it more I saw the Michael Myers character and it just kind of started?
Definitely that cover, man. That cover drew me in as a young boy. I was like, oh, what's this ghoulish man face guy looking at me, and it was so iconic. And I do think that this was probably one of the movies that Babysitter's Boyfriend showed me. I think it was, because it's not too bad, but I feel like I remember.
No, not really.
I feel like I remember when the sister's titties come on screen that he was like, you don't need to see that or whatever, because it's so young. And it's just I think he laughed about it or whatever, you're awakening or something, and they tried to molest. I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say it's my favorite thing, because every one of Tom's stories about seeing a movie either starts with the Babysitter's Boyfriend or
my buddy Austin.
My buddy's basement.
Yeah, it's true, because that's where I watched all the movies though. But this was definitely iconic. I feel like I can remember the feeling of it, and I wrote down just that classic straight up just straight up classic, right? The music opens the film, and you can't really get any more iconic than that. And I was always a lover of Jason. First I would, as I've said before, like I would draw Jason on a piece of paper. He was a little easier to draw when I was like 9 or 10. And I was getting obsessed with horror than Michael was. But I remember I was a big fan of Jason. I remember it must have been him or somebody else. Maybe like there was also my mom had, that's cool. I like that mug. That's dope. My mom's friends from out west, their son came down for a summer, and he babysat me, and he showed me like The Crow. So it might have been him that showed me this movie, but it was something like he didn't really care as much about like you can watch whatever you want, whatever. You know what I mean? He was a big guy. He was a fat dude. He yelled at me once because I was trying to make craft dinner. I didn't know how to. He said, make it yourself and figure it out. And then I burnt the bottom of the pan really bad. And
sounds like a really good babysitter, to be
yeah,
honest.
he screamed at me and stuff, but I was fairly young. And it was just one of those nostalgic moments, in that, I don't know, we'll get into it, but like just the breathing of the mask, like him breathing, all those little like things that John Carpenter did. And essentially not the first slasher movie, but really one of probably the most iconic. Psycho would technically be classified as like the first slasher film, but there's something just very iconic about this entire movie. It is one that I go every year. I will watch it. It just kind of gets me into the mood of it, but the cover especially, or I might have seen like the pumpkin. I think I saw other VHSs of The Mask, like from 4, I think, or 5. But I think that like even that pumpkin with the knife, and I already loved Halloween and dressing up, and I was like, it just made it kind of nostalgic, every kind of part of that. I need to collect some VHSs and stuff because I think that'd be cool. Aaron's dropping shit.
Sorry. Yeah, I am dropping shit. I was trying to grab something just when you mentioned about like masks and stuff.
Yeah.
This doesn't really have anything to do with this movie in particular, I don't think. Do I have it? Oh, I do. Wow, interesting. And it just made me think of when you mentioned babysitters and stuff. I was like, there's something that's kind of gone now. Like, most people now wouldn't, like, if somebody suggested you, like, oh, leave your newborn kid with some random dude or some random chick, you'd be like, fuck no, I'm not doing that. It's so funny, like, because we were all babysat. Like, I was babysat by, like, random, like, someone's teenage daughter that, like, lived somewhere.
A bunch.
Like,
we got babysat by, it was like 5 girls. So that was fun. And then the one just eventually stayed. I don't know if I didn't know if I was too young to know if they were attractive or not or whatever, but it was like 5 or 6 girls that would come over and babysit me and my brother. And I think we were kind of hellions a little bit, but.
Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me. So this was something that I found a while back. So these were things that used to come with like the paper on like a Sunday or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
So like you would get free movies basically. I think it was a way to just like sell.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, they could sell more papers or something like that.
I want to buy VHSs. It's so dumb, but like I don't even have a VHS like player. But like I don't know, just the idea of like having some like nostalgic, weird. Did you find those like a thrift store? So they're like CD
I had them
covers.
I had them from when like my grandparents or whatever used to get the paper, and like
wow, that's
those
cool.
movies would be in it.
Oh wow, that's actually really cool though. That's kind of really nostalgic. It's
I never realized when I said this to somebody else that they were like, okay, that doesn't exist outside of Ireland.
No, because they would never put horror movies in the paper.
So random.
They would put like, for everybody listening, it's like when you used to get like remember you used to get a video game in your cereal, or you get like Batman what's that Batman and Robin terrible movie with the hard nipples on the suit? Yeah. The other night I was having a couple drinks and I got back into Batman. I'm like, I was watching something about it and what Tim Burton's Batman could have been for the third one, and I just was like, you know what? I'm going to start watching Christian Bale's Batman again. I'm
going to go see Batman live in February of next year here in like a big...
It's like an Irish like BDSM sex show or something?
No, it's not. It's it's in the Board Gosh Theatre, which is like kind of like a Broadway kind of place that they do all stage shows in, but they're
just
doing...
like Batman and Robin make it out together.
No, it's actually. I think this might be quite good because I went to see Hans Zimmer a few years ago, and I thought
Yeah.
it was like quite.
Oh, it's gonna be like the orchestra.
They're
type
going to have a
thing.
full orchestra, but you're going to watch the 1989 movie with a full orchestra
Oh,
playing
that's
the.
cool. You know what they need to have? Just like some Batman coming down from the roof, just flying over the audience, would be so funny.
With that big rubber neck.
Yeah,
Where he's like,
yeah. I can't see where I'm going.
but yeah, I don't know. Movies like this, just this franchise as a whole, kind of makes me feel really nostalgic. And it's like there's
Yeah, me
so many
too.
lost memories and like things. Like I said, like that stuff in the newspaper. You mentioned stuff about babysitters and just I don't know. It
It's very
feels like a
nostalgic, and I'm blending out the green screen right now.
feels like a lost time. I don't know. It's weird. Like every time, like you said, you revisit this every Halloween, and
The
I do
night
as
he
well.
came.
and it's like I don't know. It makes me feel kind of I don't want to say emotional, like, but I start to think of it's not necessarily a movie. Like I don't see Michael Myers and go, oh my god, I'm getting emotional. It's
Yeah.
more like I don't know. I feel like things were way more innocent back then. Like you said,
I agree.
I think there was an innocence to being babysat by like some chick and her boyfriend or whatever, and then them just being like, yeah, whatever, watch Halloween, kid.
I
I don't
know.
care, whatever.
It's
We're
different
making out in the
times.
corner.
We had a high trust society. Like they leave in the '60s, they leave babies outside the grocery store, and then they
It
would
wasn't
just
that
go
a thing
in.
where maybe I'm like misremembering this or whatever, as this doesn't exist, but wasn't there something where like a commercial used to come on and be like, do you know where your kids are?
Yeah, yeah.
like
Well,
that.
we'll get that. Will be more directed towards the third movie.
But that
right?
is a thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. And now they don't even
Just
care.
wild.
They're like, it's all drug commercials. Do you take it? Do you know about Ozempic? Are you fat?
Do you
wanna
have
lose-
depression? Take
Yeah.
all these tablets. It's
And then
great.
it's like this list of all the side effects. It's crazy because like Chelsea's like it's not like I used to remember this and I was like I don't remember this being this rampant. Yeah, either. But I was listening to Hercules today on a podcast, Sorbos or whatever his name is. He's an
Kevin
interesting
Soros?
dude. Yeah, he's an interesting dude. He's got some hot takes.
I used to
and I like him.
love that show.
I know, so did I. It was just nostalgic listening to him talking.
Tell you something. I had a little. Remember Hercules' little like waistcoat thing that he used to wear? I
So
actually
good.
had one of those. Oh,
Really?
dude, when I was a kid, I used to put that shit on, bare chested, like little pigeon chested,
God.
like 10-year-old kid, and I used to be like, "Yeah, I'm fucking Hercules, man. I'm gonna pick up trees and like
That's
move
so
shit."
funny. Do you remember? Do you remember the first time that you saw Halloween?
So, the first thing I wrote down was, I don't think this was the first movie in the franchise that I saw.
I don't know if it was for me either.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I either saw Halloween H2O or Resurrection.
I think I saw 6 first, and that's why for some reason when we get to 6, it holds a very special place in my heart because I think that it was like one of the first horror DVDs that I had, and that might have been the one that the babysitter showed me or like gave me or something like that because that's movie I remember first, and people will get when we get to it, but I actually really like that one. I find it actually there's parts that I remember as a kid being like scared watching it.
People are probably gonna be like, I don't know, maybe a little bit irritated by like my opinions on a lot of this because I have a soft spot for pretty much every movie in the franchise, Resurrection included.
Yeah.
For different reasons. Like again, I won't profess that they're all perfect movies. I don't think there's such a thing, but each of them I feel like have things that appeal to me.
There's one that I think 4 was like one that I probably watched the least, and then I've kind of like picked it up over the years.
So that's this one, right? The Return of Michael Myers.
Yeah.
That's really funny because
they just
there's
took
no
the
way for
same
me
face
to-
from the.
there's no way for me to show it, but
Oh,
that's
that's
literally the tattoo I have is literally.
But it's the same picture from the first one, is it not?
Oh, sorry. Actually, wait. Maybe it's 5 I have the face from. I actually don't even remember anymore.
Oh, it's 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 5.
I remember that
Yeah, it
cover.
all
We'll get to that.
It all seems the same, but yeah. Anyway, here's a controversial one. I remember though when I did kind of probably went back after seeing something like H2O. I think H2O was probably the one I seen first. And then I remember realizing like, oh, it's a big franchise. There's like already been like 6 movies, whatever. I remember going back and watching the original. And like, I'm going to be totally honest here. As a teen, I was like, wow, this is fucking garbage. This is the biggest pile of garbage. I do not like this. I think it's because I didn't get it, and like my little like autist brain at that point was like every movie had to be in the style of like Halloween H2O, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That was what I perceived as like a good slasher movie. It had to be like urban legend or that kind of like there's a killer on campus and there's all like sound effects and all. It had to be like that, or like I was like, this is
Interesting,
garbage.
because Halloween H2O is it's funny you say H2O. Halloween
H
H2O.
H2O.
That one does kind of have the same feel as like Urban Legend. You are right that it was that early 2000s, late 90s type vibe. Where this is like something that's totally different. Like the OG one was the first of its kind. Like, you know, like realistically, other than Psycho and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this was kind of the next step into the slasher franchise, right? Essentially, this is like, I feel like the staple. Like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a slasher film, but there's something about it that is different than, say, Friday the 13th or Halloween. It's still in that realm, but it's almost like almost feels like more realistic. So to speak.
So I always felt like Texas Chainsaw, even though it technically is a slasher, I always put it in this other weird category because I was always like, oh no, that's like real.
I know
That's like too real. It's not like the other ones. Like the other ones are kind of not that they're hokey or like bad or goofy or anything, but like they feel more like you said, like it feels more like a movie. Whereas when I watch Texas Chainsaw, it's a bit like, ugh, this feels like a documentary.
Yes, and you guys can go check out our deep dive into that. And it's funny now. Spirit of Halloween has the OG Leatherface mask, and I'm like, I don't need to buy it. I bought it because they only had the if I say what I was gonna say, people probably get offended. But the makeup one, the dinner ready.
I had that until recently, and I sold it to the haunt that I work for.
Yeah. And it's just like I want the OG looking one, and I'm like, oh, I'll have to get it like next year or something like that because. Now soon, if I get my stuff done, I'll have my podcast studio back, which means I can put everything in there, which I have like a glass shelf and stuff. I can put all my things in for once. So hopefully, I can do that sooner than later. But, you know, it's just, I was looking for my Michael Myers mask. I had one that I've had for a long time and it was getting worn out. I can't find it. And I'm like, I don't think I threw it out, but maybe I did. 'Cause it was getting it was getting beat up.
Yeah, I have a few. Again, that was another thing that I sold to the haunt. I sold my Halloween 2 mask, I think, because actually I can't say why I decided to sell it. I'll tell you off air, but because I don't know who's listening. So,
yeah. Aaron used it as a fleshlight.
No, I didn't actually. I use my fleshlight as my fleshlight.
Is it my buddy had one and we joke about it. It was called it was a beer bottle and it was Dos Equis, but it was Disuckies. And I was like, you're fucking gross, man. I think I had one in my life.
Did he go like here you go, dude, you want to like have a go at this? Check it out.
It was so it's so gay, like discreet, like beer bottle. It's so weird. And it's just like you could just have it on your shelf and then someone's like, oh sweet.
Stop. Will you, please. Yeah, right though. I did write that down about obviously I know this is not the first slasher movie, but it definitely became somewhat of a prototype for all slashers afterwards.
I would say, yeah. That's why I find Texas Chainsaw it's a little different in the way that it was done, right?
Here's another one. I don't know if you feel like this. I don't know if I was ever outright afraid of Michael Myers. Just outright, like there was some characters that I felt like for some reason Candyman sticks out to me as I remember when I seen that I was just afraid of him in general. I was like, oh, that's horrible. Yeah, and I vividly remember my dad telling me, oh no, that's like a real thing. Like no one would do that. No one would say Candyman in the mirror. And like him telling me that made like the movie seem worse. So I was like, this is all fucking like.
Well, we used to do it as I told you with my buddy Austin as he's. I'd be like, you know how much I should text him and be like, you know how often you get mentioned on the horror podcast out here?
You know how often you should probably just come on the show.
Yeah,
man.
I know. That'd be so. I haven't seen him in years. He's living out west. We talk time to time, and I was like, we should do like a Zoom call or something. We were best friends for a long time, but it is funny because I remember like I think it was Les, that babysitter, and he like I said, he wanted to get into like doing the makeup effects, and he fell down bleachers and he fucked himself up for like life essentially. Like,
Nice.
it was, yeah, he's had back problems like ever since or whatever. But he would like kind of be like, no, Michael's better. He's like, Michael's like a real person. It's not like Jason. He's like goofy Jason keeps coming back. He's like, Michael's like a real guy that just keeps, like, he doesn't care. He's a real guy that's evil as
He
hell.
sees red, bro. When he gets
Yeah.
mad, he sees red.
Yeah, and it's funny. That never works out though. You know,
No, ever, ever, ever.
I just see red, bro.
I had seen there's like lots of conflicting reports about. Obviously, people say the idea of the babysitter murders was like the original title, but then I had watched a lot of the special features on like the Blu-ray box set, and
Yeah.
I watched all like the documentaries and things like that, and there's conflicting reports. I have a book about the making of like every movie in the franchise. I think it's called Taking Shape, The History of the Halloween Franchise or something like that. A very good book, actually.
Because he's known
and-
as the Shape.
And the guy who wrote that seemed to reckon from his research that at no point is there any solid proof that it was originally going to be titled The Babysitter Murders. However, a producer by the name of Erwin Yablans
Sure.
came up with the idea on a flight back from the Milan Film Festival in 1976.
Yeah, because
which I
John
thought
Carpenter
was-
didn't actually write this. Right?
Yeah, so then what happened was he was contacted and he was asked, would he write like a full script, like flesh the idea out? Would he direct it and would he score it? And he was offered how much money, Tom? I'll give you one guess how much they offered him.
50 bucks. Just kidding. $10,000.
You are right on the money, my man.
Really?
Exactly $10,000. So he came back and he said, sure, I'll write, direct, and score this movie for 10 grand under 3 conditions. I want complete creative control, like 100%. There's no, I get the final say of everything. I want my name above the title. So John Carpenter's Presents or whatever, John Carpenter Presents, whatever, like that. And I don't know if he said it this way, but he wanted his then girlfriend, who was Deborah Hill, to be hired to co-write and co-produce it with him. And they
My
said,
girlfriend needs to be involved.
it's kind of weird, isn't it? Right? Because it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that happened, and then like obviously they're not together anymore and haven't been together for a long time. But she's like kind of had a career off the back of. It's kind of weird what dudes do, right?
I know. I'm so sick of this green screen. I fucking can't wait till I don't have to use it anymore.
I know,
I'll-
right? Because you're
I'll
starting to look like something out of like some sort of like 60s, like really bad.
I know. And I'm like, I don't know why it's doing it today. Sometimes it's good. And I think it's maybe because the shirt's just messing it up. It's trying to blend me in. So dumb.
Okay, so let's get into it then really quick and get a more fleshed out synopsis of this. So, Halloween opens on Halloween night in 1963 in the quiet town of Haddonfield. Dressed as a clown and armed with a kitchen knife, 6-year-old Michael Myers murders his older sister Judith in her bedroom. We then jump ahead 15 years, meeting his psychiatrist, Dr. Loomis. We learn that Myers has been in a catatonic state since his crime. Michael escapes Smith's Grove Sanitarium and heads back to Haddonfield with evil intentions.
It's funny because I wrote down like the iconic first-person stalker mode of a slasher film franchise. So clever to do it with the mask view. The killing of Michael's sister is definitely reminiscent of Psycho of the shower scene. I'll always remember just her tone when she says, "Michael," you know, she he comes into the room and just that like it is very I don't know why. It's just this whole movie is really iconic and like just the way she's like, "Michael." And then when his parents are saying it, like it comes downstairs, and it's almost like that, like cementing that that name and like Halloween and horror movies, right? Now they take off the mask and like Michael, and he's just standing there, and it plays that doom doom, and as it gets into the film, and he just zooms out. It's a pretty iconic shot, you know. And then I'm like, but some of the things like when he's like slashing the sister, it's like. You like it is an interesting way to do it, but it is like you can tell it's a little low budget, right? You wouldn't look at the knife while you're doing it. You wouldn't be like,
yeah, there's stuff like that that's
you
kind
just
of
be
over
you just be
exaggerated.
slicing and dicing those nips off, right?
I think they only mention. I don't even know if they actually mentioned the full name Michael Myers at all in the first movie, because from what I remember, they only reference him as he, him, it, the shape,
Oh
or the
yeah.
boogeyman.
But doesn't Loomis ever say it or no?
He
Maybe
might say
doesn't.
Michael, but I don't know if anybody in the entire movie ever says Michael Myers.
Oh, interesting. That
Which
is
is,
weird.
yeah, which I thought was kind of weird. And apparently
Mhm.
the reason for that was because the kind of idea behind Michael's character was based off of a robot gunslinger from Westworld. He, like
What?
Myers, was an android and was silent, unstoppable, and lacked all emotion. So they used that as like the basis for like what they wanted Michael to kind of be like. He was
Where there's a
a
tie into the
man,
third movie about that.
but he was like this weird thing. Obviously, everybody knows the Captain Kirk mask. Um, is the mask, blah blah blah, whatever. No one
You
really
didn't
cares
get
about
a
that anymore.
Captain Kirk mask?
No, at one point I was a bit like my
You want to make it yourself?
sado brain was
Yeah.
like, "Ooh, I need to complete the entire franchise of masks."
Yeah.
Um,
You can be Captain Kirk on one episode.
Something I didn't know though was the original masks considered before the Captain Kirk one, because everyone always hears that, they're like, "Oh, Captain
Mhm.
Kirk, that was what they were doing."
They want to do Spock, didn't they?
So Spock was not around. Do you know what the other one was though? The one that they were really considering, and they ended up not doing it because it was too recognizable. They figured that anything they could do to it would just, it wouldn't work. You would still know straight off the bat. Richard Nixon.
That'd
That
be
would have been
such
so
a different
bizarre.
movie, man. With that big ass nose, like that Richard Nixon mask. Reminds me, like, you remember when Alex Jones and Joe Rogan were like is wearing like the Nixon mask or whatever in the early 2000s. I was like, it's just
Would have been
a
very
weird.
bizarre. I was trying to picture the entire movie through that lens. I
Well,
was
then
like,
Spock
oh.
would be some sort of like elf looking creature. They just like paint him white or something, or like,
Yeah, like I don't get it. Like we're just gonna open the eye holes like they did on the other one and just have
yeah.
them with the pointy ears. That would have looked so dumb.
Honestly, it is crazy how they took like it is crazy when you think about it. Everyone knows that that's a horror fan, but like if you actually think about it, that they just made a Kirk mask and they're just like, okay, I'm gonna paint it this like really bland white, and just how iconic it made his face. It's just interesting. Like, like without that, there wouldn't be no Michael Myers as we know it today. And it's just
Yeah,
interesting that it's just like
yeah.
that face came from William Shatner. I feel like did you ever get pissed about that and be like, I want my money? You're using my
Who?
face, William Shatner.
So there was definitely something, and I thought I wrote it down here somewhere. Oh yeah, this was it, right? So I did find a story out there that so supposedly when William Shatner realized that the mask bared his likeness, he actually sued for past royalties.
That's
Um,
hilarious.
they settled out of court, and he donated all the money to charity. But I was thinking afterwards, right? Did they just settle just because they didn't want a big thing going on or whatever? But technically, they didn't have to pay him anything because it was Captain Kirk's face. So it wasn't like it was a Captain Kirk mask, and he didn't own the likeness to that. So technically speaking,
Oh, of
wouldn't
course.
whoever, yeah, like, so say we make a mask of my face, right? And I'm a
Yeah.
character in a show that you've written, and you own the rights to the show and my likeness.
Oh yeah, that's what's crazy about.
How
some of
can
that
I
stuff.
sue then if you own the rights to the mask that was made
Mm.
of my face? Even though it's my face, technically, it's not me because it's
A
Captain
character
Kirk.
that you're playing?
Yeah, so
Like,
then
does Johnny
technically,
Depp own
yeah,
there,
you
I
know what I mean?
finally fixed it. It was because there wasn't enough light.
They're going to own the rights to Captain Jack Sparrow. So he can't be
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
well, it's Johnny Depp. And it's like, well, it's technically not.
It's
It's
not though.
Captain
It's
Jack
not. You're
Sparrow.
playing
So
a
you can't.
character.
It's like WWE. Like somebody, I don't know how it works, say, with The Rock, but let's just say, for example, they would own the character of The Rock. So he
That'd be a
can't
clever
sue.
costume.
He can't sue WWE
No.
and say, well, you, like, you've used my face. It's like, yeah, but that doesn't
You
make any
dress
sense.
up like Johnny Depp, and I'll dress up like a piece of shit on a pillow.
Nice. 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 I'm sure people will know what that's in reference to.
Come on, there's some in our Halloween specials. We've seen some weird costumes, man. Like that one guy was like a tampon. That's fucked up.
Here's actually another. There's a lot of weird stuff like this, and it kind of makes you wonder about how things get made. And there's a lot of creatives out there, and a lot of directors and writers, especially that I've interviewed personally, that seem to reckon that everything has been already made. So like, no matter what you think of as an original idea, in some form, you're going to draw parallels between other things that have been made previously. So you might think, oh, I've come up with this completely unique idea that no one's ever thought of ever in the history of the world. And then when you go dig deeper, you're kind of going, okay, well, Tom loved fucking Texas Chainsaw, and I can see a bit of Texas Chainsaw in it, or Tom loves something else, and I can see a bit of that in it. There's a lot of similarities between this and Black Christmas. So like the opening shots, Black Christmas has that weird POV.
Yeah.
The same as Halloween. Bob Clark, who directed Black Christmas, he actually nearly directed a John Carpenter script after Black Christmas came out, which I didn't know. But here was something I found that was quite interesting, and I don't know, I'd be interested to see where you sit on this one. So apparently Carpenter and Bob Clark were like quite friendly and like worked on things together, and like were in the kind of same circles around this time. And in conversation, Carpenter asked Bob Clark, if you were going to do a sequel to Black Christmas, like, what would you ever do it, or what would you do? And Bob responded that, John, my film's killer would have been caught and institutionalized only to escape on Halloween. And I wouldn't call the movie Black Christmas 2, I would call my movie Halloween.
So I think John Carpenter stole that.
Now, Bob Clark has come out and said that Carpenter did not copy me in any way, and he didn't steal any ideas. He said this several times. I'm not sure, because technically speaking, John Carpenter didn't come up with the idea.
Yeah, you're correct.
Somebody else approached John Carpenter and said, here, we want to do a movie, we want to do this, we want to do that. Now, I don't know whether John subconsciously shoehorned in those ideas he heard and went, well, let's just fucking copy his idea. Is there a lot of that in Hollywood? I wonder how many times writers have conversations with each other, maybe that you don't know. Like, let's say me and you don't know each other that well, but we're both writers, and, we have a conversation, and you go, I say, oh, would you have a take on a new Halloween? And you say, yeah, well, I would like to do this with Michael Myers or that. And I go, oh, okay, cool. And then I go away to
and then both of us are under Harvey Weinstein's desk, and then he hears it, and then he makes the movie.
That's what I mean, though. Or it's like I run back to Harvey and I go, and then I go, hey,
check out
hey
this
Harvey,
script, bro.
yeah, I got this really cool idea. And then he greenlights me, and now all of a sudden you're watching a movie in the theater that you told me about, and I just went and wrote it and gave it to him.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that was something I always ask people off air, like people who write scripts. I'm like, is there a worry about that in like Hollywood when you get to that level? And most of them are like, well, yeah, but there's no real way to, like, if you write a script on spec, which is basically you write a story in your own time. So like a lot of guys, what they'll do is if they have spare time, they might sit down and write like a Halloween movie, for example, how they would see you could like reinvent the franchise, let's say, or they might write a pilot episode for a Halloween TV show or something. And they reckon that like once you've done that, like you have no rights to that or anything. You're just chancing your arm to see if I send it to the studio that owns Michael Myers, maybe they'll think it's good enough and maybe I'll get a job. Or they may just steal the fucking idea and go, oh no, we're not going to go with that idea, and then just take the things they like from it and be like, hey, get a new
that's
writer.
happened so many times, man. Even listening to Kevin Sorbo or whatever, how you say his name, whatever, Sorbo or whatever.
One of those names. It's
He's
fine.
he was just talking about how like nowadays is people like they just want to work, so they're taking like less money than they necessarily would, and it's just like, I'm gonna selling your soul to the industry, because it's like, if you can't, you gotta make some actors, right? They're doing nothing, like making no money essentially to build up their career, and then hopefully they are hoping that they become like a Ryan Gosling, right? Where she was talking about how it was a young Hercules that didn't do well, but then look at Ryan Gosling now, right? So you have to make these little like steps towards, and now look at John Carpenter's name, right? So It's almost like making an imprint,
And
but you
like,
have to
I'm
do
not
it right.
I know I'm nobody like to say this, and I'm not knocking him, but if you were to look on like a critical level of like massive acclaim,
Mm-hmm.
could you name me anything that Carpenter really done after this kind of stuff that's like that notable?
Didn't he do The Thing?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Outside of a handful of things, could you name me?
Didn't he do The Fog? Am I
Yeah.
wrong about that?
Yeah.
Okay, so. But there's
That's
some
what I'm
stuff
saying,
that
though,
Wes
like-
did, that Wes Craven did, that I'm like.
Oh
but
yeah,
he
no,
did
that,
some-
no,
but he-
that
but Wes Craven slapped his name on a lot of stuff that he didn't even really like have a lot of thing to do with sometimes. He didn't
and that
write, he
yeah,
just
that
was
happens
kind
a
of
lot
there
as
to be
well,
a-
where they're just like, oh, let me just like do that. It'll be
But how many
fine.
people know of Nightmare on Elm Street but don't know about People Under the Stairs, which I keep pushing you, I want to do at some point, but like,
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
true.
mean? Like how many, like we only know it because we're horror fans, but how many people actually know those movies?
Like, so for example, with John Carpenter, and like these are all fantastic. I'm just trying to make a point here about something. So like we have Assault on Precinct 13, amazing movie, Halloween, The Fog, Escape
Never
from New
seen it.
York, The Thing, Christine,
Oh yeah, that's notable.
Starman is not bad, Big Trouble in Little China is not bad, Prince of Darkness, They Live, Memoirs of the Invisible
Weird. He
Man,
did Big Trouble and Small, whatever that.
Big Trouble in Little China, yeah. Memoirs
weird.
of an Invisible Man, that was absolutely shocking. Body Bags, he had a segment in that which was really good. In the Mouth of Madness, Village of the Damned, I like it, but like critically, it was like terrible. Escape from LA, I like. A lot of people thought it was shit. John Carpenter's Vampires, I like. A lot of people thought it was shit. Ghost of Mars was shit. The Ward, and that's kind of all he done then. That was in 2010, and then he pretty much hasn't done anything since. Now, again, I'm not knocking him to do this fucking 70-something years of age. Like, so it's not a knock. I'm just saying it's that thing of like kind of making the point of what you said, where if you can have something that gains such a success, your name just becomes this iconic, like, it's like you said, Wes Craven presents.
Yeah, half
John
those
Carpenter
movies I have to
presents.
check out. Like I actually haven't seen a lot of those that you named off. Like there's a handful, but I would I'd be interested in like some of the ones that you suggest. I'm like, why? It's just weird because I don't like, as I've told you, I don't. With newer stuff I'll branch out a bit more, but with older stuff I need to find the time. And
I know,
the
yeah,
wife,
it's hard
I
to
don't know necessarily
commit,
She
yeah.
wants to watch some old
Yeah.
John Carpenter film, the Memoirs of the Ghost or the Invisible Man.
Memoirs of the Invisible
That
Man.
sounds weird.
That's a weird one.
What is that about? Like he's like writing his like diary.
It's
and, like,
the weirdest shit, man. I thought
where are you? Because I can't see you.
I didn't know that Michael Myers was actually named after a film distributor who helped with the UK release of Assault on Precinct 13.
I think I knew that. It wasn't based on Mike Myers. Just kidding.
No, no, Austin Powers.
Yeah, I know.
No,
Shag me.
unfortunately.
There's some iconic stuff within this film, right? I wrote down like when he's like, for God's sakes, he can't drive a car, and he's like, he was doing pretty well last night. It's like classic quote, right?
Is it this one or is it the second one? So I have this vivid memory, right, of doing, maybe it's the second one actually, where I think it was the Halloween 2 house I done in Universal like in 2016 or something, right? And they had like, obviously they have these looping like dialogues that like play. So like there's a character, say, who is supposed to be Loomis and he pops out of a doorway or something.
Yeah.
And like a voice goes off of like a line he said in the movie and the guy kind of scares you and it's like a thing. And like I vividly remember they had that. It's probably in the second one where I think he says to somebody, he's like, I shot him 6 times. I shot him in the heart. And like he just says that over and over and over again. I don't know why that sticks out in my mind from that haunted house where I was like, wow, that was like so overbearing because you would hear it like 5 times before you'd leave the room.
Yeah, I think that might be that has to be the second one then maybe. Or maybe
Is that
it
at
is
the
the
start
end
of the
of
second one
the
or something?
first
Yeah,
one.
or the end of the first one.
There's the scene where Michael drives by in the car with like Lori and her friends, and it seems like the piano music starts coming from the car because if you watch it, which I noticed, it starts kind of abruptly. It's like, and it's just like, it just seems like if you actually just watch it, I wonder if people will do this now. It seems like it's like coming from his car. Like he's just listening to these bangers, like, and as he's driving by. And you're like, oh, weird, the strange guy, right? But like, it is funny because I just noticed that it just, as they're talking, they're walking, then the car drives by, and as it drives by, suddenly the music starts. Like it's coming from his car.
I do love actually, and that kind of ties into what you just said. I wrote down here. I always loved the idea that he was always watching and lurking in different areas of the town. The location of the suburban everyday town mixed with the danger of someone like Myers being on the loose, kind of makes it more unsettling. I feel like this town seems like a place that we could all be from, and I didn't realize how much he's actually in the background. Like at times, like in that car and stuff, I didn't realize how many scenes that goes by in the background, or it's like parked across the street somewhere. It's like down the road.
I feel like I noticed that.
Yeah,
Like,
I didn't. I noticed some of them, but
Yeah.
then when I went back looking at it, I was like, oh wow, he's in like double the amount of like scenes that I thought he was.
I know, it is interesting. I will also say I don't like the killing the dog scene. That's something that stuck out to a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you get away with that now, right?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. Some of the horror movies coming out, they do some crazy, absurd stuff, right?
I feel like people hate though when it's the dog.
I know.
For some reason, it's like, oh, you can kill like children, you can kill people, it doesn't matter, whatever. Chop their heads off, chop them in half. It's like the minute you touch an animal, everyone's like, ooh.
That's a very iconic photo.
That photo, yeah, very iconic.
Isn't that Castle?
Yep, it surely is. So this is something I haven't got my hands on.
Oh, that's hilarious. Some of those covers.
I haven't got my
back one.
hands on it yet, but it's
Look how shitty. What is that? Is that like Spanish or some shit?
I don't know, it's something
German maybe. Die noch
Something.
in dir nach Manskum. That sounds like German to me.
There was a novelization that came out with this, right? And it's now extremely rare. I want to say it's like hundreds of dollars to try and get a copy on eBay, and like it can't be got. It's never been re-released. I can't remember the company that owned the rights to Halloween. It's still the same crowd. They own the rights to the book. They won't re-release it or anything, but there's like scenes in like Northern Ireland in the novelization. It starts several hours before Judith's murder. Myers, oh, this is weird, right? So Myers is with his grandmother, and she is telling him stories about the boogeyman. We find out that his grandfather had issues with voices in his head that caused him to shoot two people years ago at the town's local harvest dance around Halloween. It shows scenes of Myers speaking, which didn't happen. Obviously, he doesn't speak, but in the novelization, he speaks at his trial. There's scenes at a Halloween party inside of Smith's Grove where a female is nearly drowned in an apple bobbing barrel. So somehow Michael Myers convinces Dr. Loomis to let all the patients in the mental hospital have a Halloween party. I don't know why that would ever happen.
Weird.
Yeah, I thought that was
That's
like...
actually, that's pretty weird. That's a weird, like, you get like a folklore type of thing, you know?
In 1981, NBC purchased the broadcast rights for the movie for $4 million. And then there was a huge battle over censorship. Carpenter and Hill offered to shoot new scenes that would expand it to a more desirable runtime for TV. So when they cut out all the stuff they didn't want to put on TV, the movie wasn't even an hour long, I don't think. So then they came back. There was 3 new scenes filmed, 2 featuring Loomis and another with Jamie Lee, Nancy, and PJ Souls. There's a part in the novel. Oh yeah, there's a part in the novelization, right, where they explain how Michael Myers is able to drive, which I thought was kind of a random thing. I know it. I remember that used to always bother me, the fact that he would just drive a car. I'm like, why is he just in the suit?
It made him more human, though, kind of, right?
But in the novelization, they explained that when they were in the mental hospital or mental whatever.
The insane asylum or whatever, the psych ward.
Yeah, they would like, but it was kind of like, I don't know, I suppose prison
They
to a
had
degree
go-karts.
in the sense of no, they, you know the way like they would work prisoners in a prison.
Oh yeah.
So like similar idea to this, they would give them jobs to try and like.
So he would build cars and stuff. He's actually a mechanic. That's why he's wearing that suit.
So apparently, what they done was he was entrusted to drive a truck around the hospital grounds. So like I don't know, he would like load the truck up with stuff and like drive it to another part of the grounds. And this is how he learned how to drive. Apparently,
Weird.
it's kind of weird.
I like the idea of him in a go-kart though better.
Yeah, I'm just going like crazy frog. Do you have any idea how much the budget was for this?
I can't remember now, but I know it was a couple mil. Or no, wasn't 75,000?
300,000.
Yeah, I thought it was like. I know they made more. I know they made millions off of it, but I remember it being one of the lowest budgets. Just crazy.
Yeah, it was 300,000 budget, and it grossed over $47 million.
What's
so
his
to put that in
tagline,
perspective,
Aaron?
right? I adjusted that for inflation, so that in 2025 would be $232 million.
That it grossed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
Yeah, pretty
is
crazy. I know.
yeah, which is quite considerable.
What's the tagline? He came the night he came so hot.
I actually didn't even look at the taglines of it.
What's that one say? Halloween
I can't help.
is
An
something.
absolutely merciless thriller. I would compare it to Psycho. Jesus, Roger Ebert. Wow. Surprised he
Yes.
said that. I watched a lot of John Carpenter interviews actually, and I forgot how much that guy just doesn't give a fuck. Like he doesn't seem to care at all about anything. He just wants to smoke cigarettes and be like, "Yeah, fuck off. I don't care. Give me a can of Coca-Cola, give me a pack of cigarettes, and go away." Like even when he goes like signing events, he came to Ireland a few years ago, and I didn't go for that reason because I was like, I don't know what kind of John I'm gonna get.
Yeah,
And like
yeah.
I knew people that went up, and they were like, after the show, he was at a table like with his son who's in his band or whatever, and like they're signing, Halloween DVDs and whatever you bring up. And they were saying like he was so uninterested, like he literally could have been anywhere. And like even for the photographs, he would sit at the table and you would have to walk around the back of the table. You couldn't like touch him or be near him. You just stood there while he was like this. And it just seemed so like I was like, wow.
I don't know. I think you should be loyal to the fans that have made you as much money as this franchise has, and his name for the fans that will come see him and pay money to him. But then there's at the same time, there's part of me that's like that's kind of base though, to be like I don't give a fuck, man.
You see, I kind of love it
they
in
pay
one
your
way.
salary though.
I kind of love it in one way, right? I think there's a fine line between not giving a fuck and then just being outright rude sometimes. Like he just comes across sometimes like an absolute dick. But again, like I said, the dude is fucking in his 70s or whatever, so he's probably like, motherfucker, like I'm about to die. I don't care.
Interesting the shot of Michael in his face, right? The one that you get in the first film. And it's just very quick and interesting.
With that goofy ass looking fucking Jason Voorhees eye.
Yeah.
Bit weird, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a bit weird.
It's kind of like interesting that they added to that. I don't know. I kind of think Jamie Lee Curtis is a man, though.
I always kind of.
I was watching this. I was like, she looks very manly. I don't know.
Yeah, I always felt that about her and Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, I know.
Both of them, I always lumped them in the same category. I was like, oh, they're like the same person.
Your audience won't know, but if you look at the Weimar Republic, you'll find out some things.
Yikes. There was a Vulture interview that he done where he was asked about his thoughts.
Vulture?
I don't know, some magazine or
talks
something.
like a vulture picking apart a rat's corpse or something.
Some magazine.
It's actually a great idea for like a Ed the Sock.
Nope.
You know Ed this? I guess it's a Canadian thing. It was this guy that like
Canadians.
I know. It was this. It's a sock and it had a cigar in its mouth, and he used to go around Much Music and like MTV and do interviews, and it was just a puppet of a sock with a cigar in his mouth.
We had a
was
lot of
very-
shit like that as well.
He was very rude to people and shit. It's actually really
Yeah,
funny.
we had
There'll be some
Podge and
fans out there who-
Raj
Yeah,
and Dustin the turkey.
weird.
Dude,
What's
it
the
was so
turkey
dumb.
sounds familiar?
We have a thing over in Europe, like it's called the Eurovision Song Contest,
Mm-hmm.
and we actually sent Dustin the turkey one year as our entrant for.
Weird.
Dude, Ireland is just a joke country anyway. They're not even real. Yeah, but they asked
Same
him
with
like,
Canada.
what are your thoughts on like the Halloween franchise as a whole, and you know how popular it's become. It's out there, like it's so mainstream. It's this thing
Mhm.
you've created is part of like, I suppose, cultural history to a degree. Like outside of movies, like he's just become that. Like everyone knows what
Yeah.
Michael Myers is or who he is, or if you see the mask, you're like, oh yeah, him. I know who he is. Like my
Little
kid
kids,
knows who it
man.
is.
They have it
Yeah.
like okay.
He was in Fortnite. He was
I-
in
I-
Fortnite.
I don't agree with this though, but like in at Spirit of Halloween, they have like toddler outfits for Michael
Yeah.
Myers. That
Yep.
is weird. I will say it's weird, and it's weird. I was gonna I might post this on the Strange Brew podcast Instagram, but I took pictures of some of the weird costumes that they had, like an alien with his like a 12-inch weens hanging out.
Nice.
Like it's just like a huge long dong hanging from an alien, and I'm like, it's not like in a back section. It's like right in the middle. This is a kids like Halloween shop essentially. It's where you go get costumes. I don't think kids need to see adult costumes of giant dicks and stuff. I do think and there might be people like, well, I just think it's inappropriate, right? Like kids are supposed to stay innocent. They don't need to see like alien dicks hanging out and stuff. You know, that's my guff for today.
He got off his chest now, everybody.
I'm gonna
Back to
swing
regular programming. But
Yeah,
yeah, he
switch
was
our
asked about the
Halloween
franchise, and they were like, "Oh, you know, what do you think of this thing you've created and whatever?" And you were the one to do it. And his exact quote was, "I don't care. I don't really fucking care. I really don't. The film I love the most is the first one. Other than that, I don't really care at all." And he just
You know
seems to be
how
like
much
that about
money
everything.
That he made from like it almost is like a fuck you to like the fans. It's like without those fans, without them, you would not be successful, man. Without the people that pay the tickets, and there's part of me is like, oh, it's kind of like cool to be like that to some extent. But then there's kind of like a dick because I feel like Rob Zombie can be like that too, and it's just like without these people who made your career, you have nothing. Right? Without the fans of the show, we have nothing, right? So it is because of the people that support your stuff, and for him to essentially shit on them, I think is kind of, I think it's rude.
I don't
think
know
you're
if he
rude,
even
Mr.
thinks of it that
Carpenter.
way though. I don't even think he
Carpenter?
thinks of it like that. He's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever. I don't really care about anything.
Yeah. I will
was it-
say there's some scenes we're showing. The kill scene in the car is classic with the fog from the breathing and him behind the back seat and then him going like you can just like clearly hear him like just moaning. It is an iconic. I remember it creeped me out when I was younger.
I think it's become such commonplace as well with Halloween and Michael Myers that you kind of forget like how iconic the music is. Those opening title credits with the pumpkin.
Yeah, I agree.
And I kind of forgot like how like many iconic shots and things there is. Like it's actually insane. Like the house has become like its own thing. The mask, how the movie was shot, the music, those like those musical things. Like every so often it goes like "Ding-a-ling," and it has that weird sound that goes off. The kills, obviously, like that one where he pins him to the wall and he does like
and
the,
then he kind
the
of like
sideways
he looks
head.
at him almost like looking at a piece of art. He's like,
The
nice.
side characters even are all like pretty iconic in fairness as regards like horror goes. There's a lot of like little side characters there that had become quite iconic.
I know.
And I kind of forgot about
Aaron's
that.
got a little lazy with the show. He just like brings up IDMB instead of searching at the images himself.
Oh, yeah, dude. When October is over, I do want to go back to doing that because I do enjoy that.
Remember when you used to make collages of images? Remember those
I know,
times?
yeah, and I really used to enjoy that because I have it done for Wolf Creek for like the last 6 months, and I have all the text and all the
Yeah,
different
yeah.
things all laid out, all the fun facts. It's all sitting in StreamYard, and I want to get back to doing that, but then it's so time consuming. It's just like Fucking hell, I
It is.
can barely
It is.
record
Even
as
with
it
the
is.
show, I'm like, sometimes I'm like, hey, what are we doing this week? And it's just like, okay, this is what we're doing. I'm gonna try to get a schedule better. That's behind the scenes for everybody. Like, it does take time and effort, so please support. It means a lot. Please do it. Wait. Please, for only $5.99, you can just support the show and help us grow.
Please do it. If I
Now I
felt
gotta
like I
send you my sound audio. For
had,
that
oh
one sound
no, no, I hate that so much. I hate when you use that.
you have to put it in.
But yeah, like even how the movie is shot, like so Dean Cundy was the cinematographer. Like you mentioned it earlier, the POV shots. There's like the camera lurking around, kind of that weird found footage feeling. It's like behind bushes, watching from distance, looking in windows. The wide angle shots, so like it kind of gives you a chance to like shots like, say like this for example.
Oh yeah.
He seems to do that an awful lot, and not all the time is there something to actually look at there. But because he puts Michael in the car in different places, or he's standing behind a hedge, I think the intention was that every time a wide angle shot shows up, subconsciously your mind is looking for like, okay, where is he? What am I missing? And that's what they intended to do with that, which is something I don't think that was done at the time. Like in the late 70s, wide angle wasn't really something. You would try to minimize it because you don't have budget. So you're like, I don't want you to see anything else because we can't afford for anything. Which I thought was quite clever, and it's pretty groundbreaking in fairness. Even the music, like, is another thing that was, I think,
Yeah, very iconic. It's crazy
Yeah.
how wild.
I do love the fact actually that how unstoppable he is, but there was no mention of anything supernatural, which is kind of crazy because
Yeah.
at no point did they go like, he's like a spooky ghost ghoul man or anything. It's literally just like a dude who just won't die somehow.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I was like, Ted Bundy did get arrested and then like practice breaking in his feet so he could jump out of the jail cell. Like that's pretty crazy. You never know what humans are capable of, right?
So, out of 5 pumpkins, how many pumpkins would you give the original 1978 Halloween?
I will say 10 out of 10. I can't like it is very iconic. It is one of my favorite. I watch it every year at Halloween. There's so many nostalgic things. Like in the end of the day, in a year or two, a couple of years, we could end up covering this in a different way and talking about it again, but maybe doing like more of a trivia aspect of it or something kind of different for the show, right? So it is iconic, and we might end up harkening back to it at some point because there is some stuff that we could maybe build into a fun episode, right? But like I can't help that. It is like, what do we have without Michael Myers for Halloween? Even all the images in the background, if you listen to audio, it's just all the different movies, and it's just like, I got beef with the new ones, especially Halloween Ends, which I never finished, which we're not doing right now. That will be something else that we'll have to get to at some point. But, I just can't. This is the beginning of it all, right? I feel like without Michael Myers, there is not a lot of these other slasher killers, and we don't get into the nostalgic aspect of how iconic and like infamous some of these like are in 80 years that the world is not nuked into hell and communism. Are we going to see like a Michael Myers movie? You know what I mean? Like, it's going to keep going. We'll just keep revamping it in a different way,
Yeah, and I kind of like that, I'll be honest. I'm not going to lie. As much as I give out about sequels and stuff, I do like to see, like, if they announced there was like a Halloween TV show or something coming, there's no point in me saying I'm not going to watch it because I am. Like, that new Halloween game looks so good.
Oh, yeah. We were just talking about that at work, actually. Because I was talking about, like, how the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. So if we could ever figure out how to do some live streams with gaming,
I would love that.
Game, and then put on Patreon and get people to like, join in or whatever. There was one that they had, and it was just like a DLC you pay a couple bucks for, and you're either this character Johnny, and he's like a classic like kind of like Black Christmas or those slasher films, and you wear like a leather jacket, and he's got like a greaser haircut, and you're either him, he's the killer, or you're like I think 5 or 6 like just chicks in like either like a sleepwear, like you're wearing like a nightie, and you can change to like more sexy, or you can be like a full pajamas. And then you're either, it's not like Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the game. You can choose whether you're a killer or a survivor, right? Where this is just very random, and I actually found it more fun. You know, I know I haven't really got as much into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game because you have to get good at it. But the one where you just run around like a sorority house, it just was like, it's fun, it's quick, it's like, and it's just the
You know
the
what else I
Halloween
like
game looks
about?
fun.
Do you know what else I like about what they're doing with the Halloween game? So not only would we be able to play that together and do all that, there's also a single player story mode.
Oh, that's sick. They never did that with
I know,
Jason.
right? And that
Friday
was
the
something
13th,
they
yeah.
always said about like the Jason game or when they were bringing out the Texas Chainsaw. Everybody said, why don't you put a story mode into the fucking game?
I
Don't
know.
just make it the multiplayer thing. Make a story.
Like there was the one in Friday the 13th where you had to do little missions, but they weren't. It wasn't
How
like
cool
a
would it be, right,
story
to have a
mode.
story where you could play through the entire story as the survivor trying
And
to
then do
escape?
Jason, yeah,
And then when it ends, you could go back if you wanted to and play the entire story as Michael Myers or
or
Jason
Jason,
or
or yeah. That's what they need to
Leatherface.
do. I'd rather. Okay, I know it's fun to do online and whatever. That's where everything's going or whatever. I would rather honestly at this point, is because I don't have what we used to have. Like I told you, when I played Friday the 13th, there was a bunch of us when the game first came out. I collected all these people and we'd play at this certain
Mhm.
time or whatever. And it was just so much fun and then a bunch of 8-year-olds took it over. And you just have like why, Jason, why are you chasing me? And it's just like,
It's
it
the
would start
Fortnite
getting
thing,
really
like it's the
annoying.
Fortnite effect. It
Yeah.
just
Why are
um
these? I was like, why are these kids playing this game? There's one guy, I was like, how old are you? And he's like, I'm 7. And I'm like, why are you playing a fucking Friday the 13th game, man?
look, dude, it's I guess it's the way of the world now. I don't know why it is like
Just
that, but
desensitize your kids to violence. That's a fucking smart idea. Worked out well
um
for me.
so moving swiftly on
Yes.
from the success that was the original 1978 Halloween. Obviously, after that, we were bound to get a sequel. Obviously, the
Mhm.
studio were clamoring for a sequel. Producers, distributors, everybody was like, "Oh my god, we need to make another one." However, John Carpenter and Deborah Hill had literally no interest in making another movie. They considered the Michael Myers storyline done, dead, finished, whatever. Don't care. Um,
I
but
wonder
due
what it would have
to
been like if they did.
intense studio pressure and being given full creative control again and the money that they wanted, they
Yeah, yeah.
agreed. Carpenter famously said, I wrote the script with a 6-pack of Budweiser every single night.
Like, I just wonder if he would have actually cared when it would have. Because I did write down, out of all the Halloween movies, this one I've probably seen the least, which is probably surprising to some people. But, like, I don't mind it, but it's something, it's not one I've seen the most. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So to give people a kind of a bring it up to speed on where we are. So this movie is set immediately after the events of the first film. It picks up with Laurie Strode being taken to Haddonfield Memorial Hospital while Dr. Loomis continues his pursuit of Myers, who is still at large. The movie expands the mythology, introducing the infamous sibling twist that Laurie is Michael's sister,
Oh,
a
yeah.
decision Carpenter has since regretted, saying he only added it to give the story some direction and change the way things were going,
Well, he
as
was
he had
writing it
no
when he was
desire
drunk.
to write the movie in the first place.
Well, at
Rel-
least it wasn't like Stephen King, right?
And
Where
I,
he was
but I
just doing
genuinely think
blow.
he just put it in it because it
Yeah.
was like they just kept at him. They were like, make it, make it, make it,
Could
make
be
it, make it.
worse, right? Could be Stephen King just doing a bunch of blow and whiskey and be like, we should have a orgy of kids in a sewer.
You know what
Don't put
though?
that in the
I think
movie, though.
don't you think though a lot of those dudes are just kind of mad. That's how they
Yeah.
get successful. They're all a bit like, even if you look at like, so I've been doing a lot of research on Goosebumps and like R.L. Stein. I'm not putting him in the category with that, like, but they're all a bit fucking, they're all a bit out there.
That
Like
R.L. Stein's mole makes me think of Austin Powers.
that.
Moly.
I seen. I know a lot of people don't like this guy now, but there's a McGregor quote, and I can't remember it exactly, but he was like, he basically said like to get to like the pinnacle of anything or to be really good at anything, you have to be a little bit like mad, a little bit gone in the head. You kind of have to obsess over it. So let's say, I don't know, for example, like us with stuff like this, with this show, with conspiracies, with all that kind of, I feel like it's all in the same kind of circle.
Mm.
You know, if someone throws a bunch of money at you, our creative minds would probably like go all over the place. So I think there is a degree of like what he's saying. If you look at a lot of these people, man, who are successful, like they're all a little bit fucking, just that little bit off kilter.
Yeah, I agree. Right, and that's maybe makes you know, an artist a genius. Look at some of these like
Yeah.
painters like Hieronymus Bosch and some of the people who did some like crazy iconic films, or they're all kind of weird, right? Stanley Kubrick was a weird guy. Conspiracy surrounding
Clive
that guy.
Barker's a
You know,
weird
Clive
dude.
Barker's fucking weird. You know, so they're all kind of have their own weird shticks about them, right? I'm a weird guy.
So am
I
I.
would say.
No point in
You know?
saying I'm not. I am. I've always probably been fucking weird. So
I just think of Billy Loomis when he's like, "We all go a little mad sometimes," but I just think I'm like, we're all a little weird, you know.
Yep,
Everyone's got a
100%.
little weird bone in their body.
Okay, so this movie was released on October 30th, 1981, earning around $25 million back on a budget of 2.5 million. Reviews were mixed. Over time, it has gained appreciation as one of the better 80s sequels and served as the true conclusion to the Laurie Michael storyline. That is, however, until Halloween H2O, many, many years later, which we will talk about in another
Mhm.
segment down the road. Um, can you remember the first time you saw this one? Does it stick out at all, or it just kind of
Actually,
all
no,
mixes
not at
together?
all. It's so weird because it's like I remember I watched the first one to some extent. I definitely remember having the sixth one on VHS, and then my mom took away my movies at some point because she thought it was altering my brain. But that's probably maybe true. And I don't know. This one's like it was one that I was like, oh, I have to watch it because it's the second one, and I don't know. There was something about this one that I'm like, I do like it, and I think I need to give it more of a chance, even watching it this time. Um, but there's just something about like there. I don't know. There's just something about this one where I'm like, it's not my favorite. You know, it's not even in my top like
Yeah,
three
I
or
do
whatever.
kind of like it, but then I kind of don't really care about it either at the same time. Um,
I just feel like it was like to me, it was just mostly the same location.
yeah,
Which I
yeah.
can say that the first one was the house, but I don't know the way they shot it and the way they did it, just in the hospital. Like, and I remember like I don't know, it's so weird. I remember recently, like over the last couple of years, I don't know, like 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. I remember like revisiting this one more often, and I was just like, I don't know. There's honestly, I do like it. I'm not trying to shit on it or anything, but there's something about it that bores me. I don't know. I don't know what it
It
is,
does.
but
Yeah, and I rewatched it like in the last couple of days, and I did
yeah, me
find that
too.
I
Last
kind of
week.
checked out a little bit of points where I was like, "What?"
Mhm.
And it's not a long movie. I don't think it's like it's an
No.
hour and 32 minutes. So like, it's not that the runtime, but there's just parts of it where it just kind of lulls, and you're like, "What?" I don't really. And I feel like the idea, like saying a
Yeah.
Michael Myers movie set in a hospital, like instantly, I'm like, "Ooh,
Yeah, I
cool,
know.
I'm sold." But like, when it's good, it's good. But when it's not so good, it's like so forgettable that I'm like, oh, was that in that movie? Oh yeah, forgot about
Well,
that.
I wrote down, I was like, I find the kills kind of weak in this. Some are definitely bad. There's a lot that are not terrible, but a lot of them are like either forced through, they're not really thought out. I did find some of the kills were lacking as a slasher film, especially a second one, and not a lot of like detail. You know what I mean?
Does this come from though? Is that then exactly what we always talk about in the sense of like you can really feel when a team or a person or whatever is really into something. Like if I said to
Mm,
you, like we love chatting about movies, we love chatting about hauntings, conspiracies, all that kind of shit, right? But if someone said to us like, okay, both of you guys now are going to chat about like golf, is it that
yeah.
thing of being like, I don't know, even if you gave me $1 million, I don't know how excited I could be about talking about something I don't care about?
Yeah, but like,
And
what are
I
we
kind
doing
of
here?
wonder, yeah, and I kind of wonder, is that what this is like? That considering that when they were approached, they were like, no way, I'm not doing a
Yeah,
sequel.
yeah, I know,
And
yeah.
then it's like you get forced to do the sequel. And look, I personally think, in my opinion, from like, if you watch a lot of the interviews, nobody says it outright, but it kind of sounds to me like what happens is the studios go, you do want a career, right?
Hmm.
So if I were you, I'd make a sequel because you may not ever make another movie again if you don't make a sequel. So you kind of, it's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do this thing. I want to make original stories.
Equivalent of the Harvey Weinstein blowjob.
Yeah, but it's like, if I don't do what you say and make this movie for you, it kind of sounds like you're going to try and get me blacklisted so I can't make any movie.
Yeah, which could play the case, right?
You know, and it kind of makes me wonder.
Look at Kevin Sorbo says. I don't know why he's getting just because I listen to this.
You love him.
He got canceled from from Hollywood for just saying speaking his mind, right? Because he's always been a staunch conservative or whatever, right? And Hollywood is definitely like a little commie leftist safe hold and stuff like that. But like it is interesting because is it that carelessness, right? Like even it's so funny they used the same mask, but it was under that chick's bed in like a box. Can't remember the girl's name, but was someone who's the production, and the mask was stuck under the bed for. You know what I mean? And then it's just like, and then they pull out and it's all like, that's why it looks so weird for everybody that doesn't realize that the mask looks different, and it's because it was underneath a bed, in a box or something, right?
It's there was something else weird as well, like to tie into all that, like not wanting to make it, but then wanting to make it and didn't want to make it. So again, a lot of business must have went on flights in like the 70s and 80s or whatever, because this is another story. So the producer, Erwin Yablans, or however you pronounce his name, he was on a flight. They were coming back from like the Cannes Film Festival or something like that. And he was on the flight with the head of the AVCO Embassy Pictures. And they were talking about Carpenter and like a sequel and whatever. And he was like, oh, yeah, we're going to do Halloween 2, blah, blah, blah. And the head of Embassy Pictures was like, oh, that's weird. Because he said, I just financed John to make a movie called The Fog and another movie called Escape from New York. So then Yablans was like, wait a sec now. What's going on? So he, let me get this right. So he sued John. He sued, and then what ended up happening was John had to write the movie, score it, and even do reshoots because of the lawsuit. And then after that, that producer contacted a guy by the name of Dino De Laurentiis, who's a big film producer, and actually sold the rights to do number 2 and another sequel because he was like, oh, I can't deal with all these fucking people now, I'm done. And then John Carpenter famously said, Halloween 2 was going to be made with or without us. Part of the reason that I done it was because... So, listen to this. Part of the reason that we done it is because we would get the money owed to us from the first movie that we didn't get. Being a nice capitalist like I am, I decided to go ahead and do it anyway.
That's hilarious.
I mean, at least he's in a way upfront. He's just like, yeah, I just done it for money.
Really, there's bad things about capitalism too. They're both kind of equally bad in my opinion.
Here's
like
something
people
actually
cut each other's throat for fucking money, right? That's crazy.
This is something that I didn't realize, and then once you see,
dumb the mask looks. Like,
yeah, I don't like the way the hair is like.
It's because it was stuck under that chick's fucking bed in a box.
Something I didn't realize, and then once you see it, you can't unsee it. The amount of people online that rag on Jamie Lee's wig. So she had cut her hair short at this point.
Yeah.
So she has that dumbass hair.
That's so funny, yeah.
And when you look at it in a lot of scenes, it's like goofy
people are not
looking.
like this, but the lesbo haircut, like that was such a why? Like it's so
The
like
short hair, I hate it.
Chelsea, we made the joke with my wife one time, like, as now she's a mother, how her hair is just gonna get shorter and shorter, and then eventually it's gonna be like mom cut. And I was like, if you do that, I'm divorcing you.
It's even worse, dude, when they have that. They keep a weird emo fringe and then like spike the back.
Oh yeah, so my mom like loves pink because she's like that type of older lady. And I think pink's a man also, if people want to know. She has a weird body structure, but like she like loves pink, and then she like gets that hairstyle, and it's just like, and she's had her hair multiple times like pink, and I'm like, it's just like I don't sorry ladies out there if you have short hair. 80
Just don't do it.
yeah, it's like 89% of men. It should be more. I think it's like 99% of men that are actually straight don't like short hair. It's just a fact, man. I'm sorry, but that's not something that
It's
like,
this
men
thing,
enjoy.
right? It's like I try to explain. I'm not rag. Look, people are who they are. I don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever. Do whatever
Yeah,
you
me
want.
too.
Like whatever. But like coming from someone who can't grow hair,
Yeah,
keep,
growing.
keep your motherfucking hair.
Well, it'd be like there are some women that don't like guys with long hair, and that they think that you look so much better if you just cut. You know what I mean? So it that goes for both ways.
You know what? Actually, that's a really funny point. It's a really weird thing about people, actually, when you think about it, because I've had somebody, a female, tell me, "Oh no, like if we're gonna like see each other, you're gonna have to try and like grow that hair. I don't even care if it's like, I don't even care if it's thinning out. You're gonna
Wow,
have to
really?
like, you're gonna have to keep like, you know, when like a dude has like, you can
Oh,
just tell
don't
the
do
top
that.
is like
Yes.
really thin."
Yes.
And she's like, "No, I don't care. I would sooner it like that." And then I've had the opposite, where I had somebody tell me, "Oh no," somebody that I knew years ago when I had hair,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like, "No, I prefer you with a shaved head."
You just
I'm
kind of
like,
got to
"That's
embrace
so-"
it, man.
I was like, "It's so," but I think that has a lot to do with it. Is just when you accept, I don't have hair, so it doesn't matter
There's
anymore.
a guy at work and he shaved his head and he's like a bigger kind of dude with a beard, and I was like, you look like you're gonna like beat up somebody guy in a wrestling ring. I was like, keep it that way and don't just grow like the skullet, you know. But yeah, I don't know. There's like there's some iconic moments in this film though, when it's like imagine not knowing it was Michael Myers and you crushed that kid and burned him alive. Even though the fire was clearly over exaggerated, when they're like, it's him or whatever, and then the car drives into that kid in a costume, and you clearly see that it's like a blonde wig or something, like it's like a Michael Myers with a blonde hair, and then the kid gets smoked, and then all of a sudden the car bursts into flames, which is actually unrealistic. That would not happen in that way.
And the way it happens as well, it's literally like fireworks going off.
Look at his mask there. It looks stupid. I can't help it. Like
It's the thing with the like pieces of hair. Like this.
no, it's okay. So it was left under that producer's bed or whatever, right? But the guy that wore it wasn't Nick Castle. I can't remember the guys. You might have it in your notes, but his face was rounder, so it actually like was really stuck. Like it pushed out the mask and made his face like fill it up, and that's why you get this like where it looks rounded, where Nick Castle's
Hasn't,
like
though-
has a thin
hasn't-
face.
Hasn't this become like part of the lore as well? Like the amount of like different masks and shit.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll get to it with H2O. Jesus. For all you that don't know, like we should have watched it with the audience for things like Rumble. But we've done like we did Resurrection as a watch along when we were doing all those commentaries. We used to like we'd be like banging out commentaries all the time. We were like, I don't know if this is like good for people because can they actually like pay attention to what we're talking about? But we did like H2O, Resurrection. There's still some stuff that I'd like to do for Patreon. We can actually show the film for people or Rumble. Go support Rumble. But some people may not like this. I think this is a bit slow compared to some of the other ones. I said there's definitely iconic scenes within the movie, and then I wrote titties. In its own paragraph, just the word titties. So obviously,
Some good ones.
So some titties. That's what like we always joke with Billy when we started Stranger Podcast. We used to put a movie on in the background, and it'd always be like a Friday the 13th be playing or just something random. And I remember I was getting a bad review one time, and they're like, you pay more attention to the movie, and this is like at the very beginning of the show. Like you pay more attention to the movie than you do what you're talking about, and it's because we were drinking like a 26er in an hour between two people,
Yeah.
and
It's
then
not a podcast.
No, it's just us drunk and ranting, and Billy would just like we'd be in the middle of talking, like oh titties, and I'm like that's what horror movies does, right? So it's just like all of a sudden there's tits on screen, right? And that's just like classic. Oh, and I also wrote down that there's a scene where Michael's like dead on the gurney or whatever, and she's like licking his fingers. Imagine his stanky old, like just rotten fingers. I doubt Michael Myers washes his hands.
You know
You
what
know what
else
I'm
is
talking about when
weird?
she's like, oh,
Yeah.
Oh, when he comes up behind the chick in the hot tub, that weird like asylum hot tub.
Yeah, that's very strange that was in there. They did actually talk about the idea of starting this movie and showing that Laurie had been killed, and they were going to introduce all new characters. She wasn't going to be in it. And they also threw around the idea that maybe the Dr. Loomis character had ran its course in the first movie and he wasn't going to return either.
That would have been weird, I feel like.
There was talks of Myers following her to college. She was now in college, so it was all going to be set in like a college campus.
Oh, I think I might like that better than the hospital, not going to lie.
There was another one that they talked about where she was being stalked by Myers in a high-rise apartment building. Something similar to Carpenter's movie Somebody's Watching Me, which was a TV movie that came out prior to Halloween. They had also talked back and forth. I don't think it was them, it was more the studio. The studio were like, hey, why don't we do Halloween 2 in 3D? And I think they were like, yeah, why don't we not do that? Because we don't want to make the movie as is. So why would we make a 3D movie we don't want to make? So let's not do that.
I feel like I can feel that. And there's some movies, like there's some movies in like the, say, the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise or even Friday the 13th where it just seems like it was rushed through. And like even the picture we're on, like, I don't know, there's something about Michael. I don't like Michael in this movie as much as other ones. And I think that's just because it's not Nick Castle, and then some of the other people did an okay job, but I don't know. Maybe I'm being too critical.
I do and I don't. Like some of the kills I don't mind so much.
Some of them are weak as fuck though.
I like the idea of him going to the hospital and then kind of cutting the hospital off from the outside world.
Yeah.
I did like that. Killing the watchman with the claw hammer. Drowning the nurse in the boiling water. The thing with the shift supervisor with the IV drip, I thought that was kind of cool. Or the needles. I thought those killings were quite good with the needles. That kind of
that's
really like needles.
That's why I commented on it. I said, yeah, some of the kills seem semi-boring. Like I get what they're going for, but it could have been slightly more impactful and gory. But I feel like it wasn't as like the effects of like some of these kills weren't as gory as they could be.
I did write down actually. Laurie shoots him in both eyes. Really?
That's what I wrote. I was like, conveniently shoots him directly in the eye. It's a good effect. It's just strange when he's
it though?
acting.
Because I can clearly see his eyes.
I know. When I said it's weird that like I even find this thing when he's just like blind slashing the air and like just grabbing his face and just slash. It's just like I don't know. It's kind of cringy though.
Yeah, it's not good. It's
like,
not
I
good.
this is like I
so
still
much.
will enjoy these movies, and I'll probably show them to my when my kids are teenagers or whatever, right? But like I still think that like I still have to be critical because these are my true thoughts. I'm not gonna like sugarcoat them because this is what I feel. And there's some movies that I could really like, as we've discussed before, that like the audience or people, it's a stupid take or whatever. But it's just like out of all of them, this is like my least favorite to watch. Even some of the ones that we'll get into that are kind of dumb. It's just like I kind of like those ones more because they are kind of dumb like that. You know? And
I just feel like this was such a cool concept. So like I'm not saying I don't like this movie. I like parts of this movie, but I don't know. I feel like the concept versus execution was just a bit odd.
Yeah, me too. I also agree with that. There's just some I don't know. Like you said, it's just I find myself going in and out sometimes, you know.
Here's another strange thing, and I don't know if you noticed this at all at any point.
Like that right there. Like it from the first one to this one.
Yeah, that's not
the
like
mask
anything.
looks fucking weird. It looks like
kind of
chubby,
looks like a
like
knockoff
little
version of like.
It looks like Augustus Gloop if he was putting on a Halloween mask. You know what I mean?
I don't know if you noticed or not, but Jamie Lee has more dialogue in the opening of Halloween Resurrection than she does in this entire movie. And I just wrote beside it.
Too. Yeah.
I wrote beside it. I was like, it's actually really strange to me to go from a core character that the story is built around to basically nobody crawling around on your hands and knees in a hospital gown.
Yeah, and maybe this is some of the stuff that I'm picking up on where I'm like, maybe I'm just noticing that there's not as much care going into the characters to develop them. It's just, let's just put Michael Myers in a hospital and let him kill anyone who is existing within that hospital.
So this basically tells you everything you need to know. It just ties into what you just said. So this is a direct quote from the commentary track for Halloween 2. directly from the mouth of John Carpenter. I sat down to write the sequel and I realized that there was absolutely no story here to tell. We'd already done this story. All we're doing now is Xeroxing. It's hard when people expect you to repeat the same thing over and over again.
He did it once though. Like I feel like I could like if I don't know. Just he seems. Unfortunately, he seems careless. It is interesting because there's certain shots of the mask where I'm like, oh, it looks like the original mask, and there's other shots where it just like it is. I think it's a combination of being left under the bed in that box, but also like the. So I was watching something. It's talking about the guy who played him. His face was just more full. It'd be like Billy wearing the mask originally, and my co-host, he's a skinny fuck, and then me wearing it next time, and it would look totally fucking different because it's like the person's shaping the face, and hair is like pretty tight on his face, right? And it's just I feel like it's disappointing because they could have done this. Could have been, and I always say this, whatever. It is what we get, right? We talked about this in Nightmare on Elm
Yeah, we
Street.
get what we get.
We get what we get, but it's just if there was more time and consideration done with any of these slasher films, we could have something pretty special, you know. Pretty special.
And this had a lot of other fucking problems as well. Originally, actually, there was talks of David Lynch was going to direct this.
David Lynch, really?
And I think he turned it down. But director Rick
be
Rosenthal's
weird.
first cut of the movie was not received well by anybody at all. It was considered not scary and similar to an episode of the show Quincy.
Weird.
Second cut that he done was seen as just as bad. So in a panic, John Carpenter stepped in and removed scenes, re-edited others, and shot new scenes of gore and suspense to be added. Rosenthal mentions all the interference. John, Deborah, Mustafa Akkad, Dino De Laurentiis, Universal Studios. He said it was just like it's that classic thing again, man, where like everyone then goes, well, I think Michael Myers should do this, and I think he should do that, and I think we should change the mask, and I think we should change the clothes, and do this, and then it ends up being like this weird hybrid of like 14 different movies.
This is what I think
works.
of why it came out the way it did.
You know, it never works. Like it just
No.
never ever works. Like the first movie, this one had a TV cut also, and not only used deleted scenes to replace those removed, but they also re-edited and reordered existing scenes into different sequences. This is not Rosenthal's original cut, and more of a patchwork of several versions of several different cuts of the movie.
That makes so much sense of why, like, I feel like, you know, you can feel a movie, right? Like, thinking of Tobe Hooper's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, he loved it. He wanted to, like, he was super into creating it. And then you look at a film like May Halloween 2, and it's like the, how it just seems sloppily put together. In my, like, it's just, that's it. To be honest, that's what it is. That's what it seems like it is. It's just thrown together just to make a buck. And that's when it's like, yeah, capitalism, you know, this idea versus creativism. Sure.
Yeah, it makes sense in my head. I mean, it's probably
Creativism.
not right, but it makes sense in my head. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
it's just it's unfortunate.
Out of how many skull pumpkins?
Skull pumpkins. Oh, how many are we doing it out of 5?
Yeah.
Probably a 2.5, maybe.
We did 10 last time, so now we have to do 10 this time.
Okay, out of 10,
CD.
5. Maybe
Yeah,
a 6 at a stretch if I'm feeling good on the day.
I was gonna say the kind of same thing, like 5.56, just because it is Michael Myers.
Yeah.
But
There is some redeeming qualities about it, but it just
yeah.
now I think it does help. Like when I was reading the book, and I realized, okay, maybe when they did decide to make it, they had the best intentions, but then you've got too many chefs in the kitchen. Everyone's trying to be like the Michael Myers
Too many
guy.
chiefs,
I know.
not enough Indians. As they
Yeah,
say.
it's that thing. I see it. I got shit for saying that on a show before.
Are you kidding? Really?
Yeah.
Why?
So I
'Cause
don't know. Yeah, I
that's
don't know.
so dumb.
Yeah. But
You
yeah.
won't like my opinions. It's not stolen land, everybody.
But you know what? This is regarded as one of the best horror franchise sequels in history. This has gotten a massive following since, and it's built year on year. So that's kind of interesting that that would happen. It's like highly regarded now as one of the best sequels out there.
I've heard that also, and it is strange, but maybe because it's like it's not over the top and goofy like. But it's not also like it could be worse.
Yeah, it's not for me. Okay, so let's forget about that now and let's go to the best movie in the franchise.
We have a recording error.
Oh no, I don't. You do.
Stay in studio until your recordings are uploaded.
What's going on?
Weird. Okay, anyways, that's fine. That's strange. It's still a recording up top. I can see it, but
okay,
fine.
I didn't get that on my side.
Interesting. Whatever, it's fine. Just
Okay,
play along.
so moving along from what we both kind of considered quite a lackluster sequel to, such a big movie, we get a movie that a lot of people don't like. There's a big cult following for it now. A lot of people still hate it. One that I personally love, have always loved. I have some weird ties to this movie, which is Halloween 3.
8 more days to Halloween, Halloween, Halloween.
So
8 more days to Halloween.
I love the concept of this movie. I can see how at the time, if it came out and you thought you were going to get Michael Myers and then you don't get Michael Myers and it's like this weird thing. Mm-hmm. One thing I will say in defense of everybody who was involved in this, I do get where they're coming from. From a creative mind, they were like, okay, right, we've done 2 Michael Myers. Now we're not doing another one. Like in the space of 3 years, you're going to make 3 Michael Myers movies. So I get it. That they were like, right, okay, we'll make a Halloween movie, but why don't we make it a different story every Halloween? Why can't we just do a completely unique? So it's kind of like an anthology, but it's an entire feature film, but it's technically part of a bigger anthology where every Halloween it would be like, let's just say, for example, they had a title this way from the start. You would have had Halloween, the Michael Myers story, or the story of Michael Myers. Then you would have had Halloween, Season of the Witch, Halloween something. Every year it would have been something different. And I get it. Like that's, I suppose a lot of creative people are like, well, it gets boring if I just win all the time and we just do the same thing. It's like not fun anymore. I'm not challenged anyway. So I do get that. I remember seeing this movie. I can't remember like exactly, but I remember seeing it and having no idea that it had, like, it was supposed to be like in the franchise. I literally had no, like, I know it's called Halloween 3, but I had like no concept of like, I was like, that's not, Michael Myers wasn't in it, so it's not Halloween. Like they've just like made it.
I was confused. I feel like I remember as a kid watching this and being like, what the fuck? I don't even know if I turned it off or something. Like, I don't know, who knows. But like, I still remember it as like a nostalgic kind of film though, to some extent, because there is some cool scenes and I actually really like the idea of the concept of it. Now I think there's like some, I don't know. It's just I gotta be honest, man. I found myself kind of bored a little bit.
I'm just trying to show off my season of the Witch tattoo right here.
Oh, that's cool. I think actually
you never see that before, no?
Not like in full detail.
So they've got like the skull.
The witch face looks like it's like going like this though.
Yeah, it probably is kind of. She's also right there behind me.
That is pretty cool that you got that.
Alongside of Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm. I think that's actually cool. All of Aaron's money, he'll have to be buried like Egyptians with his.
Woohoo! all my money I've wasted. Great. Yeah, and now the world is falling apart. Great.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know. There's something about this. Like, I like the concept. There's some cool scenes in it. I love the pumpkin face melting the kid with like and the mind control aspect of it. And there's some iconic stuff about this film. But I feel like when I was a kid, I was pissed about it. It was like when we talked about it at Friday 13th when it's Roy instead of Jason, and I was like, who the fuck is this goof?
Yeah, you feel like you're ripped off, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a really like weird kind of random fact about this movie. So the lead villain in this and the head of Silver Shamrock Novelties is the character is called um, Conal Cochran or Conal Cochran, depending on where you're from and how you pronounce it. He's played by a man by the name of Dan O'Harlehy. Okay, so
Irish guy.
he is also well known for he's been in Twin Peaks. He was in the Batman animated series. He was in Murder She Wrote. And he was also the big bad guy, the old dude from RoboCop 1 and 2. I don't know if you knew that. This guy here with the white hair.
Yeah.
Right?
Did you watch RoboCop? I don't feel like I did.
Yeah, used to love RoboCop. But here's the most unique part, right? I think I've mentioned this on a show before. I feel like I've said this to you before at some point. He grew up like not even 5 minutes from my house, which I thought was really weird. He was born like 2-3 minutes away from here. He passed away in 2005 at the age of 85, and he is buried in our local cemetery, which is about 15 minutes from my house, called Crosstown Cemetery. And I've actually been at his grave a few times, and he has a really unique grave as well. I actually might post it on Instagram. I have a picture of it. He has like
shit on his grave. He's lying.
he has like a bench. It looks like a park bench actually on his grave, and supposedly him and his wife would like sit on park benches and just like, I don't know, like read or like chill or whatever with a coffee and like kind of watch the world go by. So this was something, I'm assuming it was in his will or something like that, he wanted to have there. And when he died, it was for his family to come and be able to sit with him. And they loved, I want to say it was red robins or something like that. So there's actually a little red robin sitting on the arm of the thing, which I thought was just, it just seems, I suppose, coming from the town I come from, it's like, you know, it's anywhereville, like just no town, nothing goes on here, nobody notable comes from here ever. And like when I kind of tied that connection, I was like, that's crazy that someone was born and grew up here like less than 5 minutes from where I am, that became like at the time, like in the 80s, like he was like a kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it is kind of cool of someone like, you know what I mean? Like, I was, I lived in a place for a bit that, Wayne Gretzky was from. I don't like hockey, but
that's kind of cool though.
He actually
even
hates
I
that
know
place.
Even I know who that is.
Yeah, he hates it though. I think when he goes there, he stays somewhere else because he hates it's a very crime-ridden, shitty small city. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, it's too bad, but that's life, bro.
As I said before, Deborah Hill and John Carpenter didn't want another sequel again, but the owner of the rights, Dino De Laurentiis, had a contract for a third movie. Deborah Hill and John Carpenter agreed to it if it didn't follow the Michael Myers story.
Interesting.
Producer Arwen Yablans said it was a bad idea not to use Myers, and he had no involvement in it other than receiving a big fat check.
8 more days to Halloween.
Yeah, that seems to be a kind of a reoccurring thing here with this franchise. There's a lot of big checks going out for people not doing anything. Yeah. Joe Dante was actually chosen by John Carpenter to direct the movie. So he's obviously your Gremlins director and stuff like that. Mm. He had actually signed on, or pretty much signed on, to direct the movie, right? And he suggested a British screenwriter by the name of Nigel Neal to write the movie. Okay, so Nigel Neal, yeah. I think, yeah, I know, right? He was famous for doing something for the BBC, something Quartermass or something like that. He was like a big deal. I'm not exactly sure. I didn't look into it too much, but This is very weird. Now, I was surprised by this because John Carpenter is kind of notoriously a bit of a wanker.
Yeah.
He said that Neil was a very mean person, and he thought that he was better than all horror filmmakers. This is a direct quote now, this next part. He made fun of Jack Arnold, the original director of the Creature from the Black Lagoon movie, At that point, Jack had lost one of his legs to illness, and Nigel made fun of him for that. Joe Dante then leaves the picture because he got an opportunity from Steven Spielberg to direct a segment of the Twilight Zone movie. So he walks away from it, right? And it's so funny from here. It just like goes all over the place. Production designer and editor Tommy Lee Wallace, who worked on previous Halloween entries, was then brought in to direct after he turned down directing part 2. The only reason he decided to do Season of the Witch is because it was an all-original story that didn't include Michael Myers. So, Neil's script, right, was...
Yep.
So he wrote a script. John Carpenter gave him notes on it and said, like, you know, I'd probably maybe change this idea, or maybe we could do more of that or less of this. He basically just turned around and went, nah, nope, I don't take any notes from anybody. So whatever I write is what we do. I don't do notes. I don't do suggestions. I don't do feedback. He just, and supposedly he was notorious for this. Like there was no collaboration. He was just like, nah, I'm good. Nobody can tell me how to improve because I've got it perfect. So obviously, you know, that doesn't work with John Carpenter because he's just like, well, that's not how it's going to work. So he wouldn't accept Carpenter's notes. So then what happened was John had to completely rewrite the entire story, right? He gave the script to Tommy Lee Wallace, who was now the director.
Yep.
And then Tommy Lee Wallace goes, I don't like your script, John. Your script is garbage too. So then he went off and he rewrote the whole script again as well. So you had 3 scripts that were completely rewritten. And the script that we got for the movie and the movie we got was a hybrid, basically, of Neil's, Carpenter's, and Wallace's script all mashed into one.
I think I can tell, though. It is, there's aspects of this film I like, but it is like a kind of a strange story. Like, I like the story, but then like the robotic hitmen, like Men in Black type guys and some of that stuff, I'm like,
So that idea, I think, was going to be a different thing, but it was kind of there and not there. I do know Nigel Neal had come out in recent years and said he had an idea for a Halloween 4 that would involve ghosts, but dismissed the idea because when he saw Poltergeist, he said his idea was too similar.
Wow. You know, and there's like, you know, I did write down like some of the gore effects are like fun in the film. Remember that like that chick's trying to because it's like the idea that there's like the like microchip from like the Stonehenge, essentially it's something like that, like so fucking random.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, some black magic Stonehenge thing that's inside of the chip or these Shamrock things, and then she's playing around with them and she's like boom, and her mouth is like just like it's very weird, but the effect of when it zooms in her face and she's like, it's like it actually, the makeup looks freaky though.
I don't know, I always just found this quite haunting. Like I seen this on late night TV and I remember being like, well, what is this shit? Yeah, so the movie takes the franchise in a completely different, unique direction. We have no Michael Myers. Instead, we have Cormac Cochran, a mask maker with a plan to resurrect the dark traditions of Samhain, is how it's pronounced in Ireland, but a lot of people call it Samhain.
Samhain.
His silver shamrock masks, powered by stolen fragments of Stonehenge, are set to turn Halloween night into a mass sacrifice, all triggered by a catchy TV jingle. It begins
8 more days to Halloween.
It's very, and I will say, it's very like.
And they just because they didn't want obviously copyright or whatever. They just did like London Bridge is falling down.
So it begins a week before Halloween with a deranged man called Harry Grimbridge being chased by mysterious men in suits. Holding a rubber mask, he seeks help at a gas station and is hospitalized under the care of Dr. Chalice, is it? Chalice?
Sure.
That night, one of the men kills him in his hospital bed. The doctor chases the man into the parking lot and watches him set himself on fire. Next day, we meet Grimbridge's daughter, and together they trace his final days back to Santa Mira, home of the Silver Shamrock Novelties, maker of the mask that he died holding.
Mm.
I do like the idea, right? Uh,
I like the idea of masks and like I like that idea of like a mask possessing you. Like
yeah,
like Goosebumps before Goosebumps. It's just like this
yeah.
idea of it. I kind of like it.
Because I think what Deborah Hill, I can't remember exactly now, but she gave notes on like what she was thinking, and it was like I can't remember. It was like something old Halloween traditions or something mixed with the new age, or witchcraft mixed with modern age or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, I do love the villain. I love
Like a
Cochran.
psycho. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's like the like ultimate like 80s bad guy. I just
Hmm.
love that. And the idea of him being from like he refers to it as the old country, which is obviously Ireland. And the fact that he remembers Samhain as it was intended to be, not having your children go out in masks and beg for candy. Disgusted by the modern idea of Halloween, him using the silver shamrock to kill millions of kids, ensuring that this will be the last Halloween and the return to the roots of Samhain, not Sam Hain.
And I like the concept of that idea. Like it is like, and I think the masks are iconic. I think like even the cover, because I remember it as a kid of like seeing all the kids going across the hill or whatever. And even that one shot that they have, like the kids are going across the hill in their costumes. Like it is clever. And the thing is, they always redo movies. This is one I would like them to actually. I would like them to redo this. This is a movie that they could redo, and I think that they could definitely make it like fit in with today's pop culture and like just kids today and some of the things that are going on in social media. Like I feel like there's a way to do this and make it pretty epic in my opinion. They could do it, you know.
Yeah, 100%. I'm actually kind of surprised, like you said, that this one hasn't gotten a some sort of a remake or something to bring
Because you
it
could
into
use
like the
those
modern
same
age.
masks, but make them
Yeah.
maybe more detailed, more creepy. Like even if you just nostalgically kept the same masks, because they are still
Yep.
kind of creepy and the designs are still clever, And then you have it's a weird movie, and I found myself a little like bored at times. But I remember when I first finally gave it a chance after like I hated it when I was a kid because it wasn't Michael Myers. I remember being kind of pissed off about it and be like, oh, I'm gonna skip this one. But I still think that it on its own standalone film, as a horror film, as a Halloween film, is kind of nostalgic. And even that I said like that when the kid puts on, and I think they're like in it looks like a test room or whatever, when the
Mm-hmm.
kids are in that TV room, and then the kid's like face starts to melt into the pumpkin mask, and all the snakes come out and they kill like the family with whatever, like because it essentially turns your head into like like gross like yeah centipedes and snakes that also kill, and so it's a weird one though.
There is some stuff actually I was gonna bring up about that. So um let me see. Um so in the original script,
Mm-hmm.
uh that Grimbridge guy at the start, he was going to be when he got to hospital or whatever, right? He was all like fucked up and like I suppose distraught. And all he kept saying was it was supposed to be Seven, but it was Sam Hain he was saying. And the hospital staff couldn't understand, so they assumed, oh, his name is Sam Hain. So he was admitted to the hospital in the script under the name Sam Hain by
Yeah.
mistake. And then like he doesn't actually die in the original script. He stays alive and he's like in hospital, but he's like fucked in the head, so he can't like they can't understand what's going on with him. They Oh yeah. So then the doctor speaks to somebody else in the hospital and they suggest they're like, look, he doesn't seem to be recovering. His mind doesn't. His body has healed, but like his mind is like all over the place. Why don't we try like hypnosis to see can we figure out what's going on with him? And there was this whole scene where like they try to hypnotize him to like get it out of him, like what's happened to him or
Mm-hmm.
like where did you come from or what's after going on. And there's like this big supernatural thing that happens and it ends up in a big it was explained as a supernatural explosion that kills Grimbridge. So I don't know what that means. So then what happens then is the doctor and that guy's daughter actually end up not. So you know the way in the movie they kind of team up and they pretend they're a couple and blah blah blah.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't do that in the original script. She blames the doctor for killing her dad. She's like, if you hadn't have tried that weird hypnosis shit, he wouldn't have died. It's your fault. Blah blah blah.
But it ends with them like he doesn't even save the day. It's just him screaming in that phone.
Yeah, I know, right? A lot of people didn't like that as well because they felt
Yeah.
like it was too negative.
Yeah.
The character of Cochrane is a lot more evil and expanded on in the original script. The doctor and Cochrane have scenes where they go to Cochrane's house, which is like this big massive estate, and the doctor confronts Cochrane. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't know where you're getting these ideas about like masks and TV jingles, and I don't know what you're talking about. And supposedly it was like a really fleshed out like dialogue between the two of them that was supposed to be really good. And Cochrane gives himself away because he refers to the guy as doctor instead of Mister, and he's not supposed to know he's a doctor. So he gives himself away, blah blah blah. So anyway, to get back to what you said, the scene where the kid's head melts and turns into snakes and bugs or whatever. So that guy was some sort of businessman called Buddy. Him and his wife were killed by the snakes that come from the son's melted head from the masks. Well, in the original script, his concept was he was annoyed that Silver Shamrock wouldn't take orders for the following year. So he was trying to order masks for his store for the year after the movie was set. And supposedly like Silver Shamrock weren't like answering his calls or like taking any of his requests. So what he does is he sneaks into the factory. I don't know why. Like, I don't know whether to like steal some masks or like do something. When he sneaks in there though, he happens to see all the shit that they're doing.
Yeah,
So like there's like he goes by like test rooms where like people have the masks on their heads are melting and shit's happening to him. He sees this, right, and ends up, I don't know, he just goes insane instantly. And he's like, oh, I'm like suicidal. So he climbs up onto the roof of the factory and he's like shouting things like, oh, you won't get me like you got them and it's never going to happen, whatever. So everyone comes outside the factory and there's this big scene where he's on top of the building. They're all looking up. Cochrane is there. The doctor is there. Everyone's there. And supposedly like Cochrane's just standing on the ground. He's like, yeah, jump. Please. Jump, and the dude jumps and smashes off the ground and explodes everywhere and whatever. There's other stuff where like the chick Ellie, she ends up being hypnotized to think that she's 6 years old and that Cochrane is her dad.
Sounds weird. Just
there's
that
this-
one
yeah.
game to jump is like reminds me of a scary movie. It's like, what are you waiting for?
It's like,
what am I waiting?
What am I
for?
waiting for?
He just
love that.
jumps off.
There's another scene with the doctor who ends up in this weird wicker cocoon. And basically what they were doing was they would take people and they would put them in these weird cocoons and it would drain their life force. They were using
Man,
it to like
too many different ideas.
power up the
in
magic
one
or
thing.
something.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Another idea that they had in the original script, the factory was actually going to be revealed to be built over an old cemetery and flattened headstones would make up the factory floor.
That's kind of clever. I was thinking, is it an old Indian burial ground? You
But
know?
I think that's what they were going, like that kind of thing is what they were like talking about. There's also a lot of similarities between this and the 1956's Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah, I saw that too.
The trope of people being abducted and replaced by lookalikes, clones and androids, blah, blah, blah. Santa Mira is the town from both movies. They have similar endings. Dr. Bennell yelling, body snatchers are coming. Dr. Chalice shouts into the phone to pull all the broadcasts, blah, blah, blah.
Stop that! Stop! Yeah, he's freaking out.
I will say, right, I do, maybe it doesn't have the same appeal now. Look, I have a lot of nostalgia for this. This is why I like it. I know it's not a perfect movie. I know it's not going to be, it's one of those things you're either going to like it or you're not going to like it, I think.
Yeah.
I do enjoy, though, how the movie plays out in a way. It kind of feels like it reminds me of things like Murder, She Wrote or like the A team or whatever, when you would just go into an episode and something's happening and you don't really know what's going on. Like if I was to explain the full idea for this movie up front, I think most people would be like, "What?
Yeah,
What
it
are you
sounds
talking about?"
bonkers. Yeah,
But then if you just watch it and like the way they drip feed the information and the clues, I did quite like that. But it
there's
is
an
a
interesting
very
conspiracy style of like they're mind controlling people. It
yeah
also kind of reminds me a little bit of like Strange Brew, the movie. If you have, people haven't seen it, it's like them like using the beer for mind control.
yeah.
And the factory is like set up, and there's like the evil fucking henchman guy and stuff.
And I do think that the intention there was like they were trying to comment on like brainwashing and media
Yeah.
consumption. And I'll be honest, right? If you
It's
actually look at
clever.
it, from, there's a couple of really good YouTube like um analysis or whatever of this movie, and like maybe some of the undertones and what you could tie to like stuff nowadays, you know, about media consumption and like how we as a people consume stuff. And it's that thing like the they live thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah, man. I
you
know.
know, and I will say it does seem more relevant now than ever, like with things like TikTok style content and stuff.
Your
How
algorithm is catered to you, and it
yeah, like
brainwashes you
I
in a certain
was
way. Yeah,
that place where I do some work for the haunt.
yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people that are like younger than me, like in their like mid-20s and stuff like that. You know, we'll be chatting back and forth, like, and we were talking over lunch or something the other day, and like everybody was just kind of saying, "Isn't it weird how like we're all kind of brain rotted now?" Where like if somebody says to you like, "Oh, you want to go see a movie that's like 90 minutes," and people are like, "Whoa, 90 minutes is like fucking,"
Hmm.
and it's like your brain telling you, "Yeah, but you could watch 90 minutes of TikToks instead."
Yeah, I know.
It's that thing, like, and it's like, you know, I was looking around the lunch table, like, and everyone's on their phone, just,
Hmm.
and like when I'm looking, none of us are actually doing anything on our phone. We're looking at dumbass stuff.
Or doom scrolling. Oh, there's
Yeah,
crazy
it's
things going
just
on in
like,
the world.
why am I looking at
And
that?
they
Like,
will
I
filter
noticed.
that and enrage people too. Like there's definitely a movie to be made that we mixed with this, and like if they could remake it and have it based in what reality we're facing now, and the fact that algorithms are catered to you, and if they actually get more engagement from people being outraged and frustrated, and that's why some of the videos that I've went viral talking about things like it's not for your show, but the idea of like I'll just talk about things that are historically true that you can prove, and someone will get mad about it. And that's the idea of like that's how brainwashed and how much brain rot we do have is someone could say the sky is blue and someone's like, no, it's not, it's
Yeah,
turquoise. You
it's
know what I mean?
scary.
Like
It is actually scary, man,
and
to
they're
think.
doing it's manufactured. This is all being manufactured for us to fight each other. That's like it's reminiscent of this movie of the idea of like having something take over your mind and controlling you to some extent, and maybe in the end of the day killing you, right? Like that ChatGPT convinced that kid to commit suicide. So it's like it's very
Yeah, and it makes
possible.
me wonder, like, look, I use AI for things. I try to use it to like as a tool to like help me in certain things, but then I do think about the consequences of like, and I literally only said this today. Somebody, oh, I had just we had just done finished teaching two kids jujitsu classes, right?
Mhm.
And I was leaving the gym, and one of the other coaches, it's a female. She was like, "Oh, she has an autistic son," and she was like, "He's listening to something on Spotify. Or he has this playlist that like kind of calms him down for like nighttime." And she's like, "It keeps going into like fucking Dutch or something, or it keeps I don't know whether he's pressing something, blah blah, right?" And she was asking me how to do something with Spotify, and I don't use Spotify, so I'm like, I don't know. So I just go on to Chat GPT, like, and I'm trying to look for a thing rather than even just take a look at
Yeah.
Spotify. I just Chat GPT it, and like I made some like passive remark about oh sure, good old ChatGPT, it tells you everything, or just it just thinks for you or whatever.
Mm.
And like I got into a conversation with one of the guys, and we're like, you know, what is it going to be like in like 10 years, 20 years if we continue to do that? Will we just have no like?
People won't be able to think for themselves. Every thought will be made up for you, and it's doing this with for more of my show, but like what it's doing with the media, the news, algorithms. It's all being strategically used to brainwash and pit people against each other, and you have. There's like it's just crazy, right? People in history be like, "No, we were these people." It's like, were you those people though? It's just like just because you watched it. Like I always reference this: if people watch a minute TikTok, and they'll be like convinced of the information that they're given. But if you'd actually research it, like, oh, this guy's just is blatantly lying, or just making up his own fantasy or her own fantasy world to make themselves feel better. But everybody, a lot of people out there are very sad and depressed and don't like themselves, so they will push out that energy onto other people, right? Because I've went viral, I get people all the time like, saying shit. And sometimes I just turn off my comments. Like, only my followers can, comment, because I'm not dealing with like a bunch of people saying some nonsense behind some, oh, you have a private account. And that's what's always behind some anonymous account, some private account being like, this is what I think. And it's like, cool. If you really think that your thought's important, put it out to the world on a video and show your face rather than hiding behind. And a lot of people do that. Look at X, right? A lot of people are arguing with anonymous accounts that might be robots. And then you're spending your time and energy doing that.
Yeah, it is a weird concept. Like, and it's just, I know this was like, I suppose maybe not to that extent, but it's the 80s version of something like that. And it's kind of funny to see how, and I don't want to end this on a big conspiracy thing, because it's not, people came here to listen to us talk about movies, but it's funny to see like the real life parallels with like, it's like you said, when you said about, oh, I'm surprised they haven't remade this movie. I would love to see what a 2025 version of Halloween 3 Season of the Witch would look like.
And I also, like, they were also commenting on the fact there was, like, a lot of around this time, there was kids on milk carts that were missing. There was those things on TV of, like, where are you? It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children is? And it's, like, Homer being like, no, I told you yesterday. I don't know where my kids are. There's, like, that Simpsons episode.
Yeah, I was literally listening to that earlier.
So it's like it is interesting because it was at that time where there was and I just feel like nobody even cares now. They're like, where's your kid? It's like, I don't know, on his cell phone sitting in the corner. And I see this with people that I'm close to that have kids, and their kids are like getting brain rot from the iPads, man. Like, you can't peel it away, dude. I tried to do that on a family event recently. Like, here, like, let's play, let's do something, and you fixate on the screen. Like 3 or 4 years old. It's not good, man. It's not good.
A weird thing.
Don't raise your kids with iPads, man. It's not.
You know what you do? You know what you do? Brain. Let your kids watch movies like this instead. It'll be fine. Look how we both turned out like fully functioning human beings. Yeah. Kind of.
Fully functioning.
How many
pumpkin masks?
Yeah. Are you giving this out of 10?
I don't know. I do enjoy it. I'd say like a 5. A solid 5. Like 5.
I do enjoy it. I the 1. I'll give this I'm gonna go controversial here. I'm gonna go like 7.5.
Yeah, I would say like a 5 or 6, like a solid 5. Like, it's not a terrible movie, but it's like is it one I'll go watch all the time? Maybe once every Halloween kind of thing, right?
That's me being kind of conservative at my points. I would probably give it higher, considering if I was to add in all the nostalgia and stuff. Like, I love the character. Maybe a 6, I love the Irish guy. I love the connection to Wexford where I live. It's that whole thing. So that all I add that into my like, oh, I'll give it a 10. But like, I realize like you said, sometimes you have to think critically as well and be like, well, no, it's not really a 10. It's just how I feel about it, because I think back to, oh, I remember when I saw that on Channel 4, which no longer exists, and it was late night and I shouldn't have been watching it, and blah, blah, blah.
A lot of these things are nostalgic, or even like the idea of like flipping through your channels and Halloween's on. You know what I mean? I miss that type of aspect of
loads of stuff, man. There's stuff you said at the start, and all about babysitting and things like that. The world we were born
into doesn't exist anymore, man.
Not really, but that's why we want to bring you shows like this, so we can give you a little glimpse of what the world used to be like. Or maybe we can go back to that world. Maybe we can all live in this little simulated podcast world that me and Tom are talking about.
We'll make a virtual reality. It'll just be us sitting on like a couch, and everyone can just join us.
You in a basement, and I'm locked in a cupboard somewhere under the stairs like Harry Potter.
And it'll just be it'll be like it'll be a virtual version of my friend Austin, but it's not really him because he's busy. And guys, it's just a kid sitting there. I'm Austin. It's
scary.
Just like... All right, see you later, pumpkin butts.
But yeah, this has been fun. Support the show, the usual stuff. Link in bio. Instagram's the best social media. Review. Please do
comment on the YouTube and the Rumble and stuff like that on video
just even a little thumbs up, to hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. We do appreciate everyone for listening. If you've gotten this far, please comment below and let us know. And yeah, we will see you all
Yes,
hopefully
the next
very
one.
soon, where we will do the next part of our deep dive, which will be Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, and Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. 4 movies which I actually really enjoy, and I'm sure both of us are going to have a lot of controversial opinions about actually liking this, where people are like, no, I don't
Four
like that
movies?
movie.
4, Halloween,
Halloween
4, 5,
4.
6,
Yeah.
and then Resurrection.
And
So you're
then
3. What? I'm confused now.
Halloween 4,
Yes.
The Return of Michael Myers.
Yes.
Halloween 5, The
Yeah.
Revenge of Michael Myers. And Halloween 6,
The Curse
The
of.
Curse of Michael Myers.
So it's, yes, we're doing 3. You said 4.
3.
How do
Oh,
you
did
do
I?
3?
I'm like,
Do you do how do you do 3 with your hand? If you're, someone's like, put up the number 3. Oh, you fucking European fucks. I work with a guy that's Belgian, and he was asking me this, and he, because we're always joking his country's destroyed now, but like, he does this, and me and Brett were like, this is how we do it. 3.
oh no, that hurts.
Weird. Yeah, that's how like we're like 3 dos.
Oh, that like now that could be because I have big gnarled jiu-jitsu fingers, so like that mightn't help.
But he was making
but
fun
anyway.
of us because he's from Belgium, and he's like, that's not how you do it.
That way.
Yeah. Come to Canada. Come join all the Europeans.
How do you guys show up your 3s? Let us know in the
Yes.
comments.
It just made
yeah,
me
we'll
laugh
see
because
you.
I saw you do it.
We'll see y'all real soon for the next part of the Halloween deep dive.
Stay horny for horror.
Bye bye, guys.